Hello, Durud and Shalom. Guys, we're trying something new. You guys tell me the anti Semitic people, the anti Israelis, anti Zionist people usually come here and, like, oh, if you have the balls, bring me up and debate me. Well, here it is. I gave you a link. It's pinned on the very top. If you click on it, it's a Google Meet link. So it should be easy to use. Jack is saying, "Hello, everyone. This will be a long and interesting stream." Yeah, if the anti-Zionists have the balls to come up, and until then, I could also respond to you guys in the chat. I'll just wait for them to show up. And by the way, if you're not anti-Zionist or anti-Israel, you could click on the link to just come up and say hi. Let me see who's in the chat. Jack is here. Zurab is here. Omar is here. Mach, I don't know how to pronounce your name. The Blade is here. D is here. Nail Bunny. Okay. Guys, while we wait for the anti-Zionist, anti-Israeli people to show up, Ahmed Deka and Nico are here. If you have any arguments that you've heard anti-Zionists make, let me know in the chat so we could talk about it until they show up. But if you are anti-Zionist, if you're anti-Israeli on the oh, by the way, I see people are watching us on Twitter as well. The link is pinned on YouTube, Atheist Republic YouTube. So you could just click on that and come up. What are the best anti-Israel arguments you guys have heard before? Let me see. The 19th century is saying, Durut brother Marco Polo said the tomb of the three Magi are not from the Tehran. What? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that's got to do with anything. And we're saying, don't forget to like the stream. Oh, somebody? No, here. Stay in the call. Did you guys hear that sound? I just want to make sure that you guys have the audio. So we're just waiting for somebody to either make an argument against Israel in the chat or click on the link that I have pinned, the Google Meet link that I have pinned at the top to come up and have a discussion with me. This is just a new thing that I'm trying. Ram is saying, I hate cancer and terrorists. Okay. Neil Bunny saying, I was just watching Destiny destroy somebody. Okay. Amir saying, too soon, Armin. The trolls will come later. Yeah, we're waiting for them. Okay, Jack has an argument. Jack is saying, argument, Israel killed Anaf al-Sharif. Oh, is that the Christian journalist? Was that the Christian journalist? Is that the one? But didn't make the full document showing, oh, no, it was a different journalist. Showing he was head of a terror cell public. If the proof is real. Oh, yeah, that's the guy that had the picture with Hamas leaders. If the proof is real, why not make it public? So let me see. Anaf al-Sharif. Yeah, that was the journalist that had smiling pictures with was it with Ismail Hania or was it with the other guy? I mean, he had, regardless of whether, like, he had public posts. That guy had public posts defending October 7th. Didn't he have public posts defending October 7th? I mean, if you're a so-called journalist in Gaza defending October 7th terrorist attacks, then you are not really a journalist. You're a propagandist for Hamas. That makes you Hamas. That makes you... Oh, yes, he had a picture. He had a picture with Hania. He was celebrating October 7th. He was covering the war as somebody who supports October 7th terrorist attacks. That makes him a propagandist for Hamas. That makes him part of Hamas. Those are based on public information that we already have. Neil Bunny saying his connections to top Hamas leaders are public. Oh, here's a good one. If you are an atheist, why this devotion to God's chosen people? YouTube money, maybe? I mean, God's chosen people. Why do you think that is the reason? Why would you think that that's the reason why I'm defending him? Akel, could it be possibly I'm defending them because they're human beings and nothing to do with so-called God's chosen people. So if somebody comes and says, Akal, that you are God's chosen people, does that mean that me as an atheist should not defend you anymore because somebody has labeled you God's chosen people? What if somebody comes and says that Jesus loves, or Allah or Yahweh loves Akal more than anyone else in the world? So now if somebody wants to harm you, if I come and defend you as an atheist, I would be a hypocrite because some people have labeled you as God's favorite person. So me as an atheist should now stop caring about you because that label on you. Do you understand how that makes absolutely no sense, right? And also, YouTube money. Okay, so first of all, I could make YouTube content about many things, but why am I focusing a lot on Israel? It probably has something to do with me being an Iranian. Actually, let me make it easier for you to let me zoom out a little bit. You see that flag? My country has been captured by the enemies of both the nation, by the Iranian people, by the enemies of the Iranian people and Israeli people. One reason why we Iranians care about Israel so much is because we have a common enemy with them. Okay, so you see how you just had an assumption and you look stupid for having that assumption. Like you didn't just ask me a question, you also just included an accusation there. But if you know my history, you could see that I am very motivated to fight against the Islamic Republic, which is the enemy of my people. And Israel has a common enemy with us Iranians, which is the Islamic Republic. So that might be one of the reasons why I'm very interested in supporting Israel. But even if I wasn't, Israel is fighting not just Iran's enemies, it's also fighting the whole world's enemies. So it makes sense for everybody in the world to support Israel. So oh, somebody actually showed up. Let me admit, Rajib. Hello, Rajib. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, guys, can you hear Rajib? Let me know in the chat if you can hear.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
Yeah.
So I'd like to clarify that October 7th was not, I'd like to make this clear that October 7th wasn't a terrorist attack. It was a military operation by a government, by the Hamas government of Gaza, because it was conducted by state actors, and a lot of the atrocity propaganda turned out to be fabricated. But even if it wasn't fabricated, even if it was all real, it's still not a terrorist attack. Okay, that was just a technicality. It's not a terrorist attack because it was led by a state and a government. Um, Even if the Israelis, a lot of the atrocities they're doing, regardless of how true it is on either side, I wouldn't classify them as terrorist attacks because terrorism has been uh, assigned to non-state actors usually, and Hamas was a government. So, despite the fact that a lot of it is made up, or most of it is made up, and some of it was done by private militias or what do you call local gangs, criminal gangs that were not affiliated with the resistance movement, not affiliated with Nukba. Regardless of whatever and whoever done it, it was not a terrorist attack. Hamas was a resistance movement and is a government is running a military operation, much like the Russians in the Ukraine. Just wanted to clarify that on an issue of technicality. On issues of technicality, you can never consider October
Do you
7th a terrorist
condemn it?
attack.
Do you condemn it?
Condemn what?
Hamas's attack on October 7th.
Well, there needs context here because the Israelis have been doing greater atrocities far longer than that. Likewise, they did a few
So
atrocities here
do
and
you
there.
condemn regardless of what Israel has done, do you condemn what Hamas did on October 7th?
Well, are you trying to take it in isolation or not? Because nothing happens in isolation. It doesn't happen in a
Okay, so
vacuum.
so you're saying there's a context. You're saying there's a context in which October 7th, which makes October 7th justified, right? Is that what you're suggesting? By the way, I can hear my audio back for some
Can you
reason.
hear
I
me
hear
now?
an echo.
Hold on,
I
hold
can
on.
hear you, but I could also hear myself for some reason.
Can you hear me now? Am I clear?
I could always hear. I never said I don't hear you. I always hear you, but I also hear myself. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, like I said, Hamas didn't intend to kill innocent people. That was not what they intended to do. That was not their intention. So if there were a lot of stray bullets that went through, okay, if there were a lot of stray dogs, if there were a lot of people who made mistakes, then that's a different issue altogether. But there wasn't an intention to commit gratuitous
Did you
violence.
watch the videos that they recorded themselves and the
Yeah,
Hamas
yes,
recorded them?
I saw that, but I'm saying the main commanders who led out, who initiated it, didn't intend. That's what the leadership of Hamas claimed, and not everyone was involved in committing atrocities. Some of them were.
The
Not
leadership of
every.
Hamas publicly brags about killing civilians in Israel.
They didn't. They didn't. They said that that was not their intention.
I've
Their
seen their
intention was
videos. I've seen their videos bragging about it. The leadership and saying
about
that they
what?
would do it again.
October
And
7th?
also,
Well, it's a
yes,
military operation. Their operation was to capture and take people POWs as POWs, just like the Israelis have captured a lot of
Hamas has
Palestinians.
publicly said that they will kill all the Jews
When?
many times. In fact, they advertise that in publicly in Gaza. They teach it to the children. They have it on their media constantly. Have you not? So you're suggesting that you've seen the footage of Hamas militants shooting civilians on purpose, so you acknowledge that, but you're saying that that was not the command of their leaders, and those soldiers did that against the command of their leaders. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, that's what the
Okay,
leadership said.
okay, so you acknowledge that the Hamas militants in Israel did target and shoot and killed civilians. You acknowledge that part.
Yeah, but the numbers are inflated. The ones I saw those on
All
on
right,
the GoPro
so
and what have you. The numbers are inflated. Even if they're true, they're still inflated. But go on.
did you see the video where the Hamas militants threw a grenade at a father and his two children, and the
Yeah,
father basically, you saw
was
that?
that they were aiming for the father. They weren't really aiming for the children, as far as
No,
I
the
know.
children. He had the children and the father were in the same place. They threw the grenade at all of them, all of three of them at the same time. Okay, so you're saying these are the militants and it's not the leaders. But I have been listening to the leaders of Hamas for many, many years. They have made their intention clear. They're trying to wipe out all Israelis and all Jews.
All of them, but it's
All
not.
of
It's
them,
not
yes.
necessarily. Well, well, it's not necessarily. It's not going to be possible though, because Israel has a big army, so it's not technically
Yeah,
feasible.
yeah.
I mean, they could try, but I mean, the thing is that the Israelis have also killed a lot of civilians, and they've been bragging about it. If you go to the yeshivas, the Jewish religious schools, a lot of them talk about killing all Arabs and shit, and attacking the
Yeah,
religious sites. And what
yeah, and
have you.
most
So
Israelis condemn them. And most Israeli, like I've seen some, not all yeshivas don't. It's not all. Most of them don't say that. There are a few radical ones. I've seen those videos. There are some radical Jews in Israel who say stuff like that, but most Israelis condemn them. And here's the thing: when Hamas leaders actually say that they want to kill all the Jews, most people in Gaza don't condemn them. But in Israel, when there are some
well,
radical
well, eh,
religious Jews saying that they want to kill all Arabs, most Israelis condemn that.
well, hold on, let me explain. So the Palestinians that are in Israel, they're the same that have Israeli citizenship. They're the same. Well, they're connected to the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, correct? The only difference is that they're living under Israeli jurisdiction and they have all rights as the Arab. Well, not all rights. They still have discrimination and all that, but they still have more rights than the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, right? They don't talk like that. The reason the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank do what they do is because of the situation they're in. It's just that simple. If the Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza were to have Israeli passports, all right, and they're giving the same rights as Israelis, the Israeli Arabs, they wouldn't be talking like that. It's not really that difficult.
Wait, what are you saying? What are you saying? First of
What
all,
I'm,
most
I'm saying most of
the,
yeah,
you
go
go
on.
on. No, you go
I'm
ahead.
saying the Palestinians that are Israeli Arabs now, because they're the same people from that same region, Bilad al-Shams, Junub al-Suri. Those Palestinians are also connected to the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. But the Palestinians in Israel with Israeli passports and certain set of rights, minimal rights, even they still exist, right? Those Palestinians don't talk about killing Jews like that. The ones that are in Gaza and West Bank do that
Right.
because of the situation they're in. All right, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, they've been radical. The situation that they're in, that they've been brainwashed and
Mm-mm.
radicalized.
No, no, the Israelis don't give them any rights at all.
Yep.
They treat them like complete. Everything is wrong about it. The way they're
Israelis.
treating them
How
is the
can
reason.
Israelis
The
give
only
rights to people?
okay. Go on.
Israelis can only give rights to the people in their own country. Like they cannot give
So
rights to
so
people outside of their country. Like it's
no
kind of
no.
it basically. Let me. By the way, I see somebody is waiting to come up. I'll bring them up after this discussion is over. Asking Israel to give rights to people in Gaza is like asking Canada to give healthcare to free healthcare to people in America. So, for example, as a Canadian, we have the right to free healthcare. So if you say,
Okay, Gaza.
if an American can come complain like, hey, how come Canada is not giving me free healthcare? Israel can only give rights to people within their country, and they do give equal rights to the people within their country.
Gaza and the West Bank are not viable states. They don't have control of their airspace. They don't have their own airport. They don't have access to
Yep.
their own water.
Whose fault is
The-
that? Whose fault is that?
No. It's the 1967 borders would declare them as separate states.
Israel left that land. Israel gave Gaza to the people so that they could have their own country, they
No,
could have their own state.
they're
And
under
instead of
siege.
basically building Gaza, they decided to declare war on Israel.
No. They're under siege. They had to smuggle everything in. They were
They
under
weren't
siege.
under they weren't under siege at the beginning. They only first of all, it's not siege when it's not a siege by Israel if Egypt is also closing the border. And also, if you're under a siege by two countries, it's because because you elected a terrorist government, and those countries are forced to defend their borders.
No,
They're forced to defend, there was no blockade. There was no blockade before the people of Gaza elected Hamas, and Hamas officially declared war on Israel. Before that, there was no blockade. When you declare that your goal as a government is to annihilate Israel, Israel is forced to defend its border.
When did they declare war on Israel? They never
As
recognized
soon,
Israel. They never recognized it, but they didn't
yeah,
declare
okay,
official war.
okay. So we call it declaring war on Israel. They declare it capturing all of the land and basically getting rid of the Jews and basically making it all Palestine. So yeah, they would not categorize that as declaring war on Israel, because yes, you're right, they don't recognize Israel, but basically that is declaring war on Israel. When you say that as soon as you get elected, you declare that our goal is to just wipe out all of these Jews out of this land and basically eradicate what we call Israel and make it all Palestine. That is declaring war on Israel.
Let me clarify. Hamas is okay. First of all, Jews have always lived under Islam, so Hamas has never said that the Jews cannot live under their jurisdiction. Second of all, Hamas's main goal has been to the return of the rights of the refugees from the 47-48 war. Okay, the ones that left the occupied Palestine from Ashkelon.
It's in their charter that they want to kill all the Jews.
No, it's not all the Jews in the world. They said between Zion and Islam.
No, it's actually all the Jews in the world. It's actually all the Jews in the world.
It's against Israel versus Islam. You have to read their charter. I can get it up. I can pull it out for you right now.
They have Hadith at the beginning of their charter talking about the end of days where all the Jews will be hiding.
Yeah, I said Israel versus. Listen. It said Israel versus Islam. It didn't say diaspora Jews. You have to be accurate on technicalities, right?
The Hadith mentions the Jews, not Israel.
But when the Hadith is talking is, well, first of all, the Quran doesn't say. Second of all, when the Hadith is talking about it, it's within the context of war. Okay, and
no, it doesn't. The Hadith is talking about the eventual inevitability of one day all of the Jews in the world would be slaughtered by Muslims. That's what the Hadith is referring to.
it's a question of interpretation and how to implement an
No, it's not. The hadith is very clear. The hadith says the hour will not come until all the Jews are hiding from Muslims and they're hiding behind rocks and trees, and the rocks and trees will be shouting out to Muslims, telling them that, hey, oh, slave of Allah, there's a Jew hiding behind me, come and kill him. Except one tree, which is the Gargad tree, which is a Jew tree that is not going to give up the Jews.
But you can't plant Gargad trees in Canada, okay, or England. So the Jews in Canada and England are going to be safe.
Yeah, so right? In Canada and in England, there would be no refuge for the Jews. Only in Israel they would have some refuge because there's the trees. And again, so great. You're acknowledging that this hadith is real and that it is in the charter. So
Wait, you're acknowledging that the prophet is telling the truth. He predicted the future, because if the Jews were sent to Madagascar, they wouldn't be shipped to Palestine to cause conflict against Muslims. They were shipped
I'm not acknowledging that the prophet predicted anything. I'm acknowledging that this is what they believe in.
He's telling the truth. No, because at that time the Jews were not the
truth.
majority.
The prophet is telling the truth. Okay, yeah,
hold on. Let me finish. Okay. When the prophet came about, there was no Jews as a majority in Palestine. Okay, they were not the majority in that area. The Jews became the majority after like 1500 years or a few hundred years ago, after massive migration, right? And you want to know something? After the expansion of Islam, the Futuhat al-Islami, you know, the first non-Arab people that became Muslim, they were the Persians. So after the Arabs in the peninsula, Jazira,
I don't know. You're changing the topic. You acknowledge that the hadith.
Let me explain to you something. Let me explain to you.
No, you acknowledge. So you acknowledge the hadith is real and is promising the death of all Jews, and it's in the charter of Hamas. You acknowledge.
Let me explain to you something. Let me just elaborate. Okay, let me backtrack a bit so you get the gist. The first people that entered Islam en masse after the Arabs in the peninsula were who? The Persians, your people, Iranians, Afghanis, etc. And simultaneously the Muslims in Andalus.
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
The first people to convert to Islam en masse, the majority,
they were forced into Islam under the threat of the sword.
That's a different subject altogether. Whether it's forced or willingly, that's a different. I have a different take on that. But let's just say that they became Muslim. Whether it's by compulsion or persuasion, that's a different subject. I'm going to get to that later. That's not even the point I'm trying to make. Okay, I believe they came about gradually. I believe it was organic, but nonetheless, that's a different subject altogether. It took 300 to 400 years for Muslims in Iran and Afghanistan to become majority. Over 50%, 200 to 300 years at least. If it was forced, it would happen overnight. But nonetheless, after Iranians were the Andalusis, the Spanish and the Portuguese and the Somalians, and different, and the Afaris people. So the majority of the people in Egypt and Bilad al-Sham were not.
What is your point? Are you're changing the topic? What's your point?
Wait, I'm trying to explain the authenticity of the prophecy. I'm trying to explain why it's true. What the prophet said was true, because the majority of the people that are neighboring the Israeli state today, the Egyptians, the Palestinians, the Jordanians, the Syrians, were not majority Muslim until after the Crusades. But people outside of the Arabian Peninsula, like the Somalis, the Iranians, the Turks, the Spanish and Portuguese, the Maghreb, the Berbers, the North Africans, they were majority Muslim. So what I'm trying to say is the prophet's prophecy came about, was authentic, because nobody would expect 600 years ago or 1,000 years ago when the hadith was collected.
Okay, you know what? I'll give you. Okay, sure. You want to look? You're so tempted to show that your prophet had the correct prophecy that you're willing to accept the hadith that says that Muslims will be hunting Jews, because you're so desperate to show that your prophet had a correct prophecy. You know what? I'll give you the prophecy. Good job. You predicted that correctly. Wow, what a great prediction. Okay, but you, by accepting, by trying to show us how good your prophet was at prophecy, you're acknowledging that hadith. You're accepting that hadith that Muslims will one day be hunting all Jews around the world. That Jews will be hiding. Oh, you said
okay. So let me explain to you. That's an extension of the Quran, Surah Bani Israel, where Allah says that the Jews will be gathered at the end of days, at the second gathering. Okay. And they'll be causing mischief and strife in this earth. They'll be causing a lot of war and terrorism and stuff like that. In Surah Bani Israel, you can check it out. And Allah says in the Quran, the Jews always light the fire of war. So when they do all these false flag terrorist attacks like 9/11, the July 7 bombings, the Kenya-Tanzania embassy bombings, most of them are actually done by the Israelis. And so Allah says in the Quran, it comes out in reality. And today, people are accusing Israelis of killing Charlie Kirk, even though he's not a Muslim. and they were not. They did not initially blame it on the Muslims, so they're trying to connect it to Islam somehow. But
Okay,
nonetheless,
Rajib, Samantha is. I need to also allow other people here, but you know you're actually arguing in my favor, right? You're actually basically showing how anti-Semitic the Quran is,
well,
how
what if God is
anti-Jewish Islam is.
okay? What
I
if?
mean,
What
thank
if,
you, thank you for making my point. You're like, I was trying to show that Hamas is anti-Jewish as a whole, and you're not only showing that Hamas is anti-Jewish, you're basically demonstrating how
Okay,
Islam as a whole is anti-Jewish. So you're actually
okay,
doing me a favor.
no, I'll tell you something else. Islam has kept the worst elements of the Jewish society in check. That's why, under Muslim rule,
Wow.
the Jews have not been expelled so many times like they've been expelled under Christian rule. It's in Europe, they've been vomited hundreds of times. 1,030 different countries, 109 different countries, 1,030 times in recorded history. And in Muslim society, it was the least amount of times, okay? Because we know how to make our Jews behave. Whereas the Christians were tolerant.
So this is this is your defense of Jews. You're saying that Jews are so inherently evil that only the Muslims know how to keep them in check. That's what you're saying. I mean, I shouldn't even. Okay. I shouldn't even say anything. I should just let you talk because you're basically telling
so let me explain
how anti-Jewish Islam.
Wait,
okay,
hold on, buddy,
I don't need to say anything. You should just keep talking.
Okay, so let me continue. Okay, so like every community in this earth, Iranians, Muslims, Jews, Christians, they have good people and they got bad people, right? Every society has good and bad. But in the case of the Jews, the bad elements are more organized and they overwhelm the good elements of their population. So eventually they take over, and then everybody else is going to catch the flack for what they're doing because they're more organized, all right? And they believe they're supremacists too. The Jewish supremacists are also a part of the problem. That's the way they look at the Palestinians. They look at you and me like that as well. Right now, they're using people like you to break up Iran. They're using people like you to split up Iran.
Who?
And
the
Iran
Jews? The Jews are doing that to me?
Well, people like you, if you're trying to destroy Iran or break it up and get it to, stop funding the resistance, because it's the Iranian brains that are behind the resistance in Gaza and
Rajib, I can see why you're so pro Hamas. Like the view that you have against the Jews, it makes sense that you would be a Hamas sympathizer.
I'm actually, hold on. Hey, listen, my buddy, my ancestry is Persian, Sunni Iranian. Iran was one time.
I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't care about your ancestry. I don't care about ethnicity. You have shit ideas. It doesn't really matter what ethnicity you have.
Iran was one time a Sunni country, so maybe if there were Sunnis, they wouldn't have such a problem with it. All right.
No, Iran used to be Zoroastrian before it was Sunni.
Well, that was different. Actually, hold on. Zoroastrian was a very hold on. It was a very elitist.
I'm not interested in talking about Zoroastrianism versus Sunnism versus Shia Islam. The point is that you have very effectively demonstrated to my audience how anti-Semitic Islam is. Like I was trying to show how anti-Jewish Hamas is, but you did actually more than that for me. You actually showed how anti-Jewish Islam is as a whole religion. But I need to move on to other callers.
Okay, one more point. One more point. Can I make one more point?
Yeah.
Okay, so there are a lot of anti-Zionist Jews, like not only Natar Karta, but groups related
I talked
to them. Also, Max Blumenthal is also.
They're the minority of Jews, by the way. They're a small minority.
But also secular Jews like Max Blumenthal and Katie Halper and what have you, right? They're not this fanatic group, and they also admit.
So
they understand that under Islam, Jews are able to succeed if they're not doing evil. They know that under Islam, they know
Jews
how to
have succeeded more than ever before when they have their own country and they have their own independence. Jews are excelling everybody else in the whole world. They're progressing faster than ever now that they have their own independence and the right to self-determination. Jews are excelling way more than they ever were allowed under Islam. Anyways, thank you, Rajie.
All right, we'll talk
another time. They're excelling by every metric. They're ahead of everyone else.
To banking, to commerce mainly financial matters.
Oh, commerce! Wow, evil! Oh, banking and commerce, these evil things. Okay, no, they actually are excelling in everything. Scientifically, banking, which is a good thing, commerce, which is a good thing, technology, everything. Anyways, I need to move on to Samanta. Hey, Rajib, come back again. I want to talk to you some more, but I need to move on to Samanta. Samanta, hi.
Shalom, Darude. Can you hear
Shalom.
me?
Oh yeah, are you Jewish, Samanta?
Yes.
Oh hi, yeah, I can hear you.
Like, you can hear me. Okay. Yeah. So very, very nervous. Please be nice.
I will be nice.
Yes. So I don't believe my country is committing genocide,
What?
but I think I
Oh,
don't
okay,
believe my
you're not.
country is committing genocide. But
Okay.
I think it might be helpful if, basically, like the UN and like other countries accuse it of committing genocide, which I know sounds very strange, but I can.
Oh, you're saying you thinking so you're Israeli, okay, and you think that Israel is not committing genocide, but you
Yes.
think it's helpful that other countries are saying that Israel is committing genocide.
Yes. Or
Okay, so
it
that's
might be
very
helpful.
interesting. It might be helpful. Okay,
Okay.
so that I've never heard that perspective before. So go on, let me know, make your point. And
Okay. So what
I
I'm
would be
thinking.
very, very nice. And if at any point I say anything that seems like I am being intimidating, or if my tone is not proper, just tell me and I will adjust. Okay.
Okay. So what I'm basically thinking is that so like the Arabs, whenever they like lose a war, they're always like trying to claim like we won somehow and like claim victory because they're very just like prideful people.
Okay. But wait,
So
say that again.
like 19
Yeah.
so 1948 when Israel won the war, I really believe that what ended up happening is the Arabs are, because it was too embarrassing for them to acknowledge that they like lost to Israel. I think that they kind of like made up this whole story in their minds about how like the world helped Israel win because the world just felt so bad for Israel because of either the Holocaust, or in some cases like they think like the Holocaust is a lie, but like they think that at least like Israel managed to convince the world that Israelis are the victims of a genocide, and therefore because like the world felt bad for them because they were victims of a genocide, the world basically helped them and gave them whatever they wanted. So what I'm thinking is I think Palestinians might be under this impression that like if you can convince Europe and America that they're responsible for killing enough of you, and essentially that they think Europe and America will like give them whatever it is they want. And I'm thinking that maybe seeing a situation where Europe and America does agree that the Palestinians are the victims of a genocide, and they see that even if Europe and America agrees that the Palestinians are the victims of the genocide, Europe and America doesn't give the Palestinians like what they want, and doesn't just like come in with some army to just magically give them what they want. They'll maybe some of them will lose hope that this is like destroying Israel is a goal worth fighting for.
Wait, so let me see if I get this right. You're saying that uh, the Arabs in this region have this false hope that if we are seen as the victim worldwide,
Mhm.
we will get a country just like the Jews got a country when the world saw them as a
Well,
victim.
not necessarily a country, but like they'll get like the world will like give them what they want.
Okay, and you're saying now that this being recognized as a genocide, if they see that
Mhm.
nothing came of it, then
Yeah,
that will make them give up.
will make them lose hope, which will, or at least make
Well,
some of them lose hope, which will make some of them give up.
well, won't they lose hope faster if they don't even get the recognition of Palestine as a state by this country after all of this war? Wouldn't that make them lose hope faster if you don't even give them that?
Um, no, because I feel like the problem is it's like I feel like the worst thing would be like if we had like some countries like slowly recognizing Palestine as a country, but like not all countries
I
like
think
basically
if
if they
the
saw and they
I think if the people, so-called Palestinians, if they see that some countries are recognizing them as a state, it actually makes them a couple of more years of hope, because they're not going to expect that to immediately result in them having a country, but they might think like, well, they might think that this is baby steps and we're moving in the right direction, so they will continue the resistance because they could see some results.
Well, the thing is, I mean, like, from the time the Holocaust happened to the time that, like, you know, Israel was declaring independence, there wasn't a lot of time in between.
Yeah, but that doesn't
So,
mean
like,
yeah, but that doesn't mean that they think that it's going to be the same time frame for them. And I don't think many of them are actually making that one connection that you're making. Like, I don't think, like, I haven't seen many people from that region come and say like, well, look, this is what happened then, so therefore this is what's going to happen to us. This is how long it took for them, so this is how long it's going. I don't think they make those parallel comparison. I think they're just going to see that, hey, we fought for this, we got part of it, so we're moving in the right direction. It's as simple as that.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen posts being made on Facebook saying, like, whose land will Britain give the Palestinians after the Gaza genocide?
I think the best way to make them lose hope is to completely defeat them. Historically, that has been the way to make people lose hope in fighting, is to completely defeat them.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But, like, I mean, defeating them is hard because so many people are dying.
But less people are dying compared to previous wars when it comes to defeating your enemy.
That is true. That's true, but it's still like people dying.
Yeah, I mean, if you're hoping for a world where people are not dying from war at all, well, we have to wait for that. We're not there yet. I mean, we could look at the direction that we're going. We could see less people are dying from war, right? But we cannot expect for, like, we cannot. I mean, it's unreasonable for us to expect for the world to all of a sudden get to the level where there's no one dying from war. The fact that we have moved from people considering millions of people dying in a war a tragedy to hundreds of thousands of people dying in a war to be a tragedy, and now tens of thousands of people dying in a war to be a tragedy, that just shows that the humanity is moving in the right direction. At some point, we will have nobody dying in war, but we cannot be like, oh, how come we're not getting there sooner? Well, we're not.
Mhm.
Like, it's going to take some time. We're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know. It's just like, imagine, like, how do I say this? You know, your friend is going to come over and he may or may not, like, bring food with him. You know,
Mhm.
are you going to wait to order food until, like, you know for sure if he's bringing food or not? It's kind of like that analogy where it's like, you know, it's very possible to get the world to, like, all agree that Israel's committing a genocide. Like, anti-Semitism is high enough that this is a totally, like, doable goal for the Palestinians to get the world to all agree Israel's committing a genocide.
Not
So-
all. Not all.
Not maybe all countries, but, like, they certainly could get, like, you know, most of Europe, and, like, if they try hard, you know, if they could get.
But Jewish people have had most of the world against them for their entire history,
Yeah,
and they still survived, and they done a lot more than surviving. So this is nothing new.
yes,
right?
but, like,
This-
this is new for the Palestinians.
Yes, but I'm just saying this is another one of those challenges that you have already faced before, and you will also overcome this one as well, just like you did before.
Yes, but, like, I'm thinking in terms of the Palestinians right now. Like, I'm thinking in terms of, like, they know it is possible to get, like, most of the world to agree Israel's committing a genocide. So I feel like,
Right.
why would they give up hope that Israel will be annihilated if, like, there's a, you know, step towards that goal that they know is very easily to achieve that hasn't been achieved yet?
Okay, wouldn't that go then against what you said? Wouldn't it have been better for Canada and UK not to recognize Palestine as a state, so that that idea doesn't get encouraged? I mean, the response to that should be Israel just continuing to do its thing, so that they could see that it had no effect on the ground. It had no effect. That's what should the response should be. But wouldn't it have been better if that misunderstanding was not encouraged by countries like UK, France, and Canada?
I mean, I think if from the beginning it was, like, very clear that, hey, no country's going to recognize this as a genocide, that would be, you know, the perfect ideal. But, like, now that we're in the situation that, like, it's clearly countries are recognizing as genocide, and it's not, impossible to, like, get like practically all of Europe and like America to agree that's a genocide. I feel like, as long as they.
How would that help, though? How would that help Israel or Palestine or the people, so-called Palestinian people? How would that help anybody? Let's say like
Because
all these countries came, like United States and Canada and all of Europe came together and decided that, okay, what Israel is doing is genocide. How is that helping? How is that going to help anybody?
Well, because if Palestinians are like, I think Palestinians might be more likely to give up the goal of trying to destroy Israel if they see that, this thing that they think might be helpful to get them to destroy Israel doesn't help them.
Yeah, again, you would get that more likely if nobody gives in to their demands. I think you would get that you get there faster if nobody gives in to the demands. That's my view.
But like, people are giving in to their demands is the thing. So
yeah, but I'm saying that's a negative thing, not a positive thing. If this didn't happen, it would have been better.
Yes, but at this point, it's like people are recognizing. It's like I said, people are recognizing. They know they can get more countries to recognize it as a genocide. So that's why I'm just like thinking, we're better off getting to like,
all right,
end result sooner than later.
I think we disagree, and I think I'm just repeating my claim and you're repeating your claim. But anyways, that was So let's move on from this because I think we both made our points. I just disagree. I just think that giving in to terrorist demands just encourages terrorism. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Okay. There was somebody wanted to come up, but they left. Oh, thank you, Jewish Samanta. Was I okay? Hey, Jewish Samanta, let me know in the chat. Was that an okay interaction? Like, I just wanted to make sure that I was nice to you. Let me know in the chat, Jewish Samanta, if I was okay. Anyways, guys, the link is pinned at the top. If anybody else wants to come, because there were 2 people waiting and then they gave up. But if anybody else wants to come and debate me, let me know. Let me see who we have. Okay, Jewish Samantha is in the chat. Was it okay? Was I nice to you? Like I think I was nice. I mean, the chat was okay, other than your speech. Okay. I think I did. I think it was fine. Yes, Samantha was fine. You were nice. Okay, Jewish Samantha. That's what I care about. I was too nice. No, Jewish Samantha is great. I'm going to be nice to her. So Holstrand is saying, shame on you, Netanyahu, for not getting rid of these criminals. Why do you keep them? Who are you talking about? Somebody's saying, Armin, hello from Japan. Hello. Guys, people who are against, where are the anti-Zios that usually show up? Come up and talk to me. Armin is Hasbara. Sure. Do you have any points against me? Kenny saying, I didn't fully get the argument, but that's just me. It's okay. Zone is saying, just say the Iranian people support Israel. They do. Most of them, many of them do for good reason. Anybody else wants to come up? Somebody's saying, you are... No, that's not to me. Oh, that's a quote? Okay, I get it. Roy is saying, I have a... Roy, you can come... You could actually come up if you want to make a... If you want to talk about... If you have any questions or if you want to make a point. Why are the anti-Zionists not coming up? They usually are very eager to show me why I'm wrong. We did get maybe that first guy, if he's still here. Oh, wait, Amir saying Armin Netanyahu recently said that he wants to isolate Israel from the world. What is your stand? He said that? I haven't heard that. I have to hear the context. That doesn't sound right. Yeah, Amir saying they're scared of a real debate. Maybe next time I should post the link for people to show up ahead of time. If you guys have any, you don't have to disagree with me. If you want to come up as well, you can come up. If you have any points or comments or questions. All right, if nobody shows up, I'm gonna go soon. Where to join? Brian is saying where to join. The link to join is pinned at the very top of the chat. Oh, there we go. Somebody came. Salman? Oh, Salman left. Salman? No. Salman came and then he left. Oh, here. Jack is saying Anas al-Sharif was a propagandist, but being a propagandist isn't enough to be a target according to international law, only when you aid in the fighting. Okay, so yeah, maybe I have to look more into how much he was involved in Hamas, but if you could show to me that that was a violation of international law, I would be more than happy to. I'm not going to be resisting that, because I don't support every single thing that Israel does. I support the average. Basically, I look at their entire performance and everything they're doing, and on average, they're good. And on average, they're better than every other country. Oh, somebody else showed up. Let me see, Brian Jones. Brian, hi.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, so I am a Zionist. I just wanted to join. I've been watching you guys for a while now. Since
Okay.
no anti-Zionist was going to join, I just figured I would take the floor.
Oh, okay. So you're not anti-Zionist?
No.
Okay. Well, do you have any questions or any points you want to make?
I mostly wanted to join the discourse against the Zionists, because listening to their arguments. But yeah. The
Oh,
person that
okay.
was
No,
here
don't worry.
before.
I could handle them myself. Oh, Rajib is back. Let me actually respond to Rajib. So don't worry. Thank you, Brian, for trying to help me, but I can handle them. Okay. Let me just get.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll respond to her. Okay. Thank you so much. So let's actually bring Rajib back. Rajib, you're back. Rajib?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
What's the commercial? I hear a commercial. Hold on a second. Oh, my bad. Okay, hold on again. All right, sorry. So, yeah, like I didn't finish it up last time. I wanted to mention that regarding the prophecies about the Jews coming back is not only in the Hadith, it's also in the Quran, Surah 17, chapter 17, Bani Israel. And it explains how they'll be gathered from all over the world. Okay, so when we talk about prophecies being fulfilled, it's not only this one minuscule aspect about this one tiny aspect of fighting the Jews behind the rocks and the trees. I mean, this just increases my iman and boosts my iman that the Prophet was correct. Sadaqta Rasulullah. Okay, when he talks about our relationship with the Jews, because historically we've never had a conflict with the Jews in any major instance. I mean, there are a few skirmishes here and there, a few riots in here and there, but nothing on a grand scale. All right, but now is the time for the Antichrist that the Jews call the Messiah when he's coming down here. So when the Jewish Messiah comes down, how would you like to serve him? Would you like to be a shoe shine boy? The
Okay,
Dajjal.
so your argument is that the hadith that's specific in Islam. By the way, I see somebody Harpag also waiting to come up, but let me actually understand what you're saying, Reggie. Okay, for everybody to understand. By the way, I hear myself. Do you have YouTube or something open somewhere? Because I can hear myself.
No,
Okay.
I don't have YouTube.
Okay. So your argument is that the hadith saying that the hour will come where Muslims are basically chasing down Jews to kill them, right? And all the Jews will be hiding behind rocks and trees, and the rocks and trees will call out to Muslims and saying, "Hey, Muslim, there's a Jew hiding behind me. Come and kill him." This actually increases your iman, increases your faith in Islam, because Jews weren't fighting back against Muslims. There was no fighting between Jews and Muslims, and Muhammad accurately predicted that there would be a time that there would be conflict between Jews and Muslims, and this shows that the prophecy came true, and this shows that Islam is the true religion. Is that your argument?
I mean, yeah, and that hadith, specifically that hadith about rocks and trees, I believe it did take place on October 7th when the supernova, you know about the supernova concert, right? No, the Hamas fighters didn't know that they were having most of the people that went there were off-duty Israeli Israeli military personnel, okay? And when that incident happened, most of them were running into the rocks and the trees anyways. And they didn't know that the resistance didn't know that Israelis would be partying up in the supernova concert. And the supernova concert was supposed to have been closed a few days in advance. I mean, 2 days beforehand. It was supposed to have ended the concert, right? So I'm just explaining how everything fits together. The pieces of the puzzle are fitting together, and prophecies are being fulfilled by a divine hand. There's nothing you nor me can do about it. So it already took place. It already happened on October 7th, on the morning of October 7th, on a minuscule scale, but it still happened. Okay, on a micro scale. So I mean, it just boosts my iman when you're talking about this war between Israel and Islam. It's just a prophecy that's happening, bygone prophecy.
So why would when the trees and the rocks speak out and say, "Oh, Muslim, come kill me. There's a Jew hiding behind me," right? This hadith is basically. Do you agree that this hadith is seeing that as something positive to basically be killing the Jew? Yeah. Okay.
In the context of conflict and war, it's definitely positive. If it's just a regular, like during times of peace, it's not. But when it's a time of conflict and war, it is.
Okay,
but let me bring something up into this.
Let's keep on this topic before you change it. Okay, can we just keep on this topic? Because at the supernova concert, right? Do you acknowledge that the people who were partying there, these were civilians?
A lot of them were off-duty IDF police officers, police and military personnel. A lot of them were IDF personnel.
Okay, so you consider the people there partying, the boys and girls that were shot at the supernova, you consider them to be fair targets?
Well, in the context of war, you can say so. But what I'm trying to get at is that when Hamas entered, they did not know they were partying up there.
Supernova.
That's what I'm
Nova Festival. I didn't. I said supernova. He said supernova. It's not supernova. It's just a Nova Festival, wasn't it?
I think it was supernova. I'm not mistaken. Okay, you want to Google that? Hold on.
No, it doesn't matter. I just copied you for some reason. I think it was just Nova. It doesn't matter. All right. So you're saying that anybody why do you consider anybody, the people there at the Nova Festival for a game? Why do you consider them? How do you know that every single? So they're not active military soldiers, right? They are. You consider them part of the military just because they serve, because there's in Israel everybody has to serve in the for a period of time in the military.
The Israelis are not. The Israelis are not only involved in the military; they're involved in espionage and what do you call
Okay,
it?
so based on
Spying,
that standard,
terrorism.
is there any civilians in Israel? Like, are all the Jewish people in Israel non-civilians?
The Israeli state is not recognized. When a country is not recognized, then there's a conflict between two parties in that state. Then the civilians become
So,
non-civilians. The civilians. Well, let me clarify it once again. If there are two parties in a conflict, right, and one state is not recognized by the neighbors, and they're in a conflict together, then those people in that so-called state are non-civilians. They're occupiers.
so everybody in Israel, every single Jewish person in Israel cannot be considered civilian.
If they're Hamas's claim was that anybody above the age of 18, because they've served in the army, and
Okay,
they're part of an
because
occupying
you know
force.
this contradicts what you were saying before. Because I said that Hamas militants on October 7th were targeting civilians, and you said that even though that Hamas militants did that, that was not the order from their leaders, and the leaders
Right.
didn't want to kill civilians. But based on your new categorization, based on your new definition,
No.
then every single person that they were shooting other than children was not a civilian, so that would make it in line what they were doing in line with the orders of their leaders. So there's a contradiction there.
Well, the main objective was to capture the Israelis as POWs and exchange them. That's why the Hannibal Directive was initiated, and most of the casualties on the Israeli side were from actually the Hannibal Directive.
That has been proven. That has been proven wrong. That has been proven.
No. That's actually, hold on. The eyewitnesses who saw that happen were mostly Jewish themselves. They're not Muslims.
No.
Arabs.
The eyewitnesses were not referring to the thing that you think they were. That has been reviewed over and over again.
There was a report by the Israeli police and the army.
But why would you even make that argument? At the end of the day, you think all of them are fair game to kill.
It's more. Hold on. When the Nova Festival happened, that was only one instance, right? The Hamas fighters entered in paragliders.
How are you celebrating the Nova Festival killing as the prophecy of Muhammad coming true, and then at the same time claim that this is a conspiracy, that this is a lie? Then Israelis were killing them anyways. Like you cannot have all of the conspiracies at the same time. You cannot claim this as a victory for Muhammad's prophecy, but then at the same time say that it was the Jews killing Jews.
No. There were, okay. Let me clarify. There's a lot of muddied water that you need to stifle through. Okay, there were some atrocities that happened, and there were people that were shot at by the Hamas fighters. Okay, but at the same time, when the Hamas guys were taking hostages or POWs from the Israeli side, captives, the Hannibal Directive was in fact initiated so that the numbers would be a lot less. If that wasn't initiated, if Israelis weren't killed by their own, there'll be at least 1,000 hostages right now, maybe 500, way more than 250. At least 1,000 that would have been taken. That's why the IDF did it. So I'm trying to explain to you, rationalize why the IDF would kill their own, so that they're not taken into Gaza. All right, that makes sense.
Explain the Hannibal Directive, because I think you're.
Well, the Hannibal Directive says, I don't have it in front of me, but something to the effect that it's better to kill anyone of your own that is being taken hostage, civilian or military, even military sometimes. Like they were thinking of killing Gilad Shalit or people within the military. Actually, some of the people in the towers, sorry, not the towers, I mean the border guards from the Israeli side did contact their headquarters and tell them to zero in and strike them when Hamas captured them. So the Hannibal Directive is
you do know that the Hannibal Directive was abolished in 2016, and it was only meant to be something that you do in the middle of a war with other soldiers, not something like in the Nova Festival. It had nothing to do with the Nova Festival. There is no Hannibal.
Okay, but what do you call it? Oh, there was a report by the Israeli police or something, a commission report by an agency within the Israeli government. I don't know the exact specifics, that mentioned that the majority of the casualties in the Supernova Festival had been from Israeli carpet bombing, Israeli strikes. That's their conclusion.
That has never happened. That's
That is, I didn't
misinformation.
look into that a while back, but
No, I've looked into that as well. That is absolute misinformation. That's a lie. You're basically believing online conspiracy theories.
So what was the inquiry? What did the inquiry say?
Every single claim that said that has been fact checked, and the fact checks have proven every single one of them a lie. Every single every single fact checker, credible fact checker, everywhere has reviewed this and has come and determined that this is a lie.
Well, what about Yasmin Polat from the Nivberi, said the kibbutz in Nivberi? She said that the Israelis killed 90% of the were behind 90% of the casualties in the kibbutzim. You didn't hear that?
I'm saying these are claims.
How do you figure out this is a lie? You haven't proven it. That's a lie. You haven't proven it on here.
Well, you haven't proven that it's not a lie. You're making the claim. The burden of proof is on the shoulders of the claimant.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna take forever to prove all that in 2 minutes, right? But let's just say that we can prove that later on.
Let me actually read this for you. Okay, the Hannibal Directive existed and dates back to the 1980s. It was classified IDF procedure created after soldier abductions in Lebanon in the 1980s. The IDF formally revoked the standing Hannibal order in 2016. Chief of Staff Gadi Eisenkot ordered the directive cancelled amid criticism and confusion over its interpretation. Credible reports and international UN inquiry say there are credible reporters and international UN inquiry say that there was no credible sources that suggest that anything like this happened. So Haaretz reported that orders consistent with Hannibal idea were issued at several sites. The UN Independent Commission's report likewise say they are.
Okay, I got some information for you. Hold on. Are you willing to hear my point? My side?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so go on the haaretz.com website. Check what's this date? Give me October. Sorry.
Can you send it to me? Send me the link.
Yeah. 1 sec. Hold on. There you go.
Oh, here I found it.
Get it? July 7th, 2024, last year, by Yaniv Kubovich. Okay, it already lays it bare for you to read it. That the IDF ordered the Hannibal Directive on October 7th to prevent Hamas taking soldiers captive. And this probably extended to the civilians as well, to the supernova or related, what do you call it?
Haaretz is an anti-government website. That's a very biased source.
What do you mean it's not verifiable? Because it doesn't suit your agenda. It is not verifiable.
No, Haaretz, guys, Haaretz is a leftist anti-government publication.
Well, that's just name calling. You can't disprove it, so you just
no. This is famous. Haaretz is famous for that. Haaretz is famous for that.
No. You might as well convert. Why don't you convert to Judaism? Why are you being an atheist?
No, wait. You don't know this about Haaretz?
What about
Actually,
it?
I'm looking at some of these sources. It's also Haaretz, so I don't trust the Haaretz. Guys, isn't Haaretz a very biased source against the government of Israel? Everybody knows that. How about you search that? Ask ChatGPT. Isn't the Haaretz biased against the government?
So every government has opposition newspapers. So does the U.S. So does the Iranian government. The stuff you're spouting against your government in Iran, the IRI itself is run by what do you call it? People against it. So it doesn't matter. I can say the same shit about you, man. Regarding the stuff you spew against the IRI, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. Okay, I have the facts here for me. I would be willing to accept your position if you give me an unbiased source. Here's the thing. I agree. I am biased against the Islamic Republic. I don't hide that. What are you trying to show? Yeah, I know that I'm biased against the Islamic Republic. I don't hide my bias. But Haaretz is also biased against the Israeli government.
So you need a source that suits or coincides with your agenda. That's all it comes down to. No, I need
a source that is
you're
not
confirming
biased.
You need confirmation. Hold on, listen, buddy. You need confirmation bias in order to make yourself correct. In order to prove a point.
You are using confirmation bias. You're using a biased source. I'm not using confirmation bias. I'm actually willing to accept it if we could find an independent, unbiased source. You're giving me a biased source.
Okay, so hold on a sec. Let me send you another link, okay?
All right, hold on. Let me actually read on this. The Hannibal procedure was a real idea protocol from the 1980s, and the army officially canceled it in 2016. It was created as a desperate last resort measure to prevent mass hostage taking after a traumatic prisoner swap history. Not a policy. It was not a policy to massacre your own people as a matter of course. Okay, independent investigations. Okay, so here's the thing. There are some UN commission, okay, that sources that say there are indications that Hannibal style order or thinking showed up in chaos of October 7th. But indications are not proof of a predetermined state policy to kill civilians. So this is the accurate reporting of it.
Okay, well, they had to improvise, man. They had to think on the moment. They had to think off the top
But
of their
this
head.
is
They
the
had to think on the spot.
UN suggesting that there are indications that not that the Hannibal Directive was used, but Hannibal style orders or thinking showed up on October 7th. That's what the UN Commission is accusing Israel of, but not that the Hannibal Directive was used.
What are you trying to get at? That there wasn't official what do you call clearance, and that's why people acted on their own.
No, what I'm trying to get at is that there was no Hannibal Directive on October 7th. There was no such a thing. Even the accusations don't suggest that. The accusations suggest that maybe there are indications that Hannibal style orders or thinking showed up in the chaos of October 7th. That's what they're suggesting.
That's the same thing, man. You're just having a word
That's
salad.
not the same.
Hold on. Let me send you the last. Check the last two links, especially the
Hold on.
ABC.
Let me finish reading what I'm reading. The central fact is that Hamas planned. Okay, so brutal coordinator massacre, the criminal campaign. Israel has carried out internal reviews, and the military itself has admitted mistakes. Okay, but not so. Yeah. So there were some mistakes, but not to the point where you could claim that the vast majority of the people that died there were killed by Israel.
A good chunk, maybe 50% at least, conservatively speaking. Check the last two links. Hold on, I sent you a couple of links. the Anadolu Agency as a Turkish newspaper, and ABC.net as Australian news link. So I sent you Australian and Turkish sources. Australian is pro-Israel, pro-American, or pro-Zionist, pro-Jewish. All right, these guys said the same thing. Hannibal Directive was involved in killing a lot of the civilians in Palestine. Well, non-combatants. The more neutral term is non-combatants in Israel. Israeli non-combatants were killed by the Israelis themselves. That's coming from an Australian newspaper, okay? An Australian TV channel, ABC.
Yeah,
look it up. The last link.
Okay, I'm actually looking at some because I don't know the biases of these sources that you're sending me, if they're biased or not. So I have
Australian.
Australia's anti-Islam. Do you know how many leftist publications are in Australia? Just because it's Australian doesn't make it credible. Why are you such
Australia is more racist than Canada. They're more anti-Arab, anti-Muslim, anti-Islam.
Do you understand that not all publications in a country think alike? Do you understand that there are different publications with different biases in all sorts of directions? So here I have AP News, which is better, at least. There's no credible evidence. Yes. There is no credible evidence that most Nova Festival victims were killed by Israeli forces. The overwhelming, well-documented cause of deaths at Nova. Oh, it is Supernova. Supernova Festival on October 7th. Wait, is it Supernova? Yes, Supernova Festival on October 7th was the Hamas attacks. Survivors, journalists, and emergency teams described militants systematically shooting at and abducting people. So eyewitnesses on the ground reporting and rescue teams show Hamas militants carried out the massacre at Nova and abducted many victims. Independent reporting later showed isolated claims that IDF fire from an Apache helicopter firing at militants may have accidentally hit some people amid the chaos. Those are specific, limited findings, not proof that Israel caused most of the death. Also, viral video and social posts claiming Israeli helicopters intentionally slaughtered festival goers have been debunked by many fact checkers. Clips were misattributed or taken from different times, locations. Yeah, so actually, I have the links to the fact checks that I could send to you.
Okay, I sent you a link. Yeah, Armin,
Thousands
I
of
sent.
here.
Yeah, I sent you one right now, Mondo Waste, uh, that has an Israeli soldier admitting towards killing Israeli civilians under the Hannibal Directive. Check out the link I sent by Mondo Waste.
Look at the link I sent you because they actually fact checks all these claims.
No.
Check the link that I sent you because it's easy to make all of these claims. It's harder to fact check, and a lot of people go and do the fact checking.
How do you know the fact check website is not false?
Well, how do you know the website that you sent me is not false? At least the fact checkers have a history of credibility.
Wait, Mondo Weiss is a Jewish website. It's left-leaning, all right. It's critical of the Israeli state, but it's Jewish though. And most of its writers
Jewish doesn't make it correct. There are many Jewish publications that are biased against their own government. Do you not understand that? I thought we have already went through that.
Okay, that's fine. So hold on. Why don't you examine the evidence on mondowaste.net? I think the evidence is pretty elaborate.
Yeah,
it's
okay,
not just.
But did you actually go through the? Did you go through the fact-checked link that I sent you? Because it actually goes and shows where all of these claims come from.
That will take a bit of time. It's not going to be so. Like, I'll not be able to read everything in 2 minutes. But
yeah, like it's interesting because you're bombarding me with link after link, where I cannot actually go and fact. Hold on, let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. You understand that live on air, I cannot actually go and check the biases or the actual reporting of the links that I'm sending. But at least the link that I sent you, which is a list of fact checks, that one is easier to follow.
Yeah, I'll read it. I'm not saying I won't read it. I'll read it and I'll come to my own conclusions, whether I agree or disagree. That's not the issue here. I'm just notifying you. Just check it out and I'll check your stuff out. Not a problem. I don't have a problem looking into stuff. Not an issue. But anyways, what was I saying? So there's a lot of muddied waters, a lot of what you call, we're in the fog of war. So you need to just clarify the wheat from the chaff, you need to clear things up. That's all it is, man. But I think this war is going to go on. It's not going to stop because Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have a defense pact. And you know who that's for, right?
So this article that you sent me doesn't actually say, if you actually go read in the article, they don't actually say that Hannibal Directive, the last one that you sent me, look at the misleading title, because this is just a soldier saying that he picked up this is just one IDF soldier, an IDF tank commander, who says that he fired at a pickup truck on October 7th to stop the suspected abductions. Okay, he didn't mention that he doesn't actually mention the Hannibal Directive. But the title of this article acts like the Hannibal Directive was used. This is just one captain, one tank commander making a decision in that moment, and this article's misleading title acts like the Hannibal Directive was used.
Okay, so
they're attributing the tank commander's decision in that moment to a policy by Israel to basically kill the people at the Nova Festival. Do you understand? Do you see how dishonest that is?
No, okay. Let me just let me paraphrase this for you. Okay, if the Hannibal Directive wasn't ordered by a central command, but people did it based on their own improvisation, the same policy, right? What's the difference? At the end of the day, they're still carrying out the same policy because the Israeli army, they've been trained to carry out the Hannibal Directive.
Then it's not the directive. Using the directive means that there's a chain of command, that this is the policy that the actions that are being taken place is based on enforcing the directive that they have in place. You can, just because one decision of a tank commander could be seen as like what the policy of that directive is, doesn't give you the excuse to say that the directive was being used.
Okay, so did you check out the abc.net site?
No,
Is
but
also
do you understand what I'm? Do you understand what I'm just saying?
I get what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that even if it didn't come, because if you look into October 7, you'll see that there was a 7-hour stand down command. So who was going to initiate a command, any essential command, anyways? Nobody was doing anything for 7
Yeah,
hours.
so that
There was,
so that means that the directive was not in use. These were soldiers trying to make the best decision at a chaotic moment in time. That's it, basically the opposite of you suggesting that a directive was being used.
maybe it wasn't coming out from a central command, but it was more diffuse.
But that's what a directive is. That's how a directive works. You have a
But there wasn't-
policy.
Okay, fine. There wasn't a central command for 7 hours, anyways. So they improvised and they
Yeah, so
acted
that
upon
means that the directive was not being used. People are trying to connect it to a directive that that Israel was not using for many years, because that's the way to demonize Israel. You have soldiers at a chaotic moment trying to make the best decision at the time, and some of them were not as good, and people are trying to connect it to that directive as a way to demonize Israel.
Okay, but soldiers that get training in the army, they do learn about the Hannibal Directive. They are told that they can use something like that when push comes to shove, under extreme emergencies, under critical situations.
They learned what they learned was that directive was too controversial, so they canceled it. That's what they learned. These were so here's the like, you cannot say, so if a soldier is seeing, okay, so this is a decision that any of us might have made. Okay, if I see a van, for example, running away with Hamas leaders in there, and some Israeli victims are in the van as well, I don't know, maybe at that point I would have decided to, I need to shoot this van. Like maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, I don't know. This is not necessarily as a result of learning about that directive.
So you're saying that they acted on their own initiative, free from that?
I'm saying that you don't know in a chaotic moment who would decide what, and you have no evidence that their decisions was linked to that directive, especially given that directive was shut down, and given that they didn't even know that this attack is going to happen, and they're just responding to what was happening at the time, right? And again, Israel is publicly investigating this, and they're completely transparent about their mistakes. But this could be mistakes of individual soldiers, and these are so few in number. It does not explain at all the number of people who died. Like, if you actually look at the number of soldiers who came and admitted this actually is responsible for a minority of the casualties.
Well, not every soldier is gonna come and admit they committed a crime. Come on.
Yeah,
man.
but
They're not
then
gonna
you cannot make up stuff just because you don't have, if you don't have the proof, you can't just say like, yeah, okay, there's no proof, but I'm going to believe it anyways. You have to actually provide the evidence for it.
I've showed you the evidence. A lot of links suggesting that
the evidence, every single evidence that I'm looking at suggests that the vast majority of the people who died there died because of Hamas shot at them, the people you support. And everything I'm seeing that tries to act like the Hannibal Directive was being used is just a few individual soldiers saying that their mistakes were being made when they were shooting at Hamas militants.
Well, hold on. Have you looked at the site on the Supernova Festival? A lot of it looks like it's been carpet bombed. It's been hit by a missile. And a lot of it is not from RPGs or what do you call Kalashnikov or what have you, not for gunfire. A lot of the cars were totally flattened out. That couldn't have come about through a RPG.
I don't trust. Like, are you an expert in looking at
wreckage some of the corpses were burnt out. That couldn't have happened through just a regular bullet or even a grenade, man. It was completely vaporized, man.
I mean, cars were being burnt. Like
cars.
I mean,
the incidents show that a lot of it was from the Israeli army.
No.
The images show that.
I rather trust people who are experts at this rather than you, and they said that it actually looks like Hamas.
Which experts? Hold on, let me see you. Wait.
I don't know. You were trying to take credit for Muslims for what happened at Nova, and now you're giving it all to Israel. I don't know what point are you making?
Maybe both. Maybe both were involved. Maybe both did it. How about that? Maybe one group
So-
of the
So you're
supernova.
proud of you're saying you're basically celebrating Hamas doing the half, but also blaming Israel for doing the other half.
Yeah, why not? It's not contradictory. It both can be true at the same time. It can both be true simultaneously.
So you're like, good job for Israel, good job. Hamas did a good thing, killing people at Nova Festival, but the numbers are exaggerated. They didn't do as good of a job. Half of it was because of Israel. So you basically want everything. You basically want to basically be able to celebrate Hamas for killing civilians at Nova Festival, but you also want to blame Israel at the same time for killing civilians at the Nova Festival. You want to be on the side of conspiracy theorists, but on the side of Hamas, celebrating Hamas at the same time. Like you basically want both of those crazy worlds. You're like, why should I be in one La La Land when I can be in two?
Well, they don't necessarily contradict each other. It might sound surreal to you, but I think it's plausible. It's plausible, unless you got CCTV footage showing otherwise. All right.
I don't need CCTV to show otherwise because I have Hamas's own footage showing otherwise. I
You
saw
only have
Hamas. They recorded it themselves. I saw the videos. They were going one by one. Okay.
That was in the settlements. That was not in the supernova.
No, I saw the recordings from the supernova. There were recordings by Hamas on the supernova festival.
That was after the incident happened. People came and saw the site, and that's when people were confused whether Hamas did it or the Israelis themselves.
Look, I'm actually reading this. Buildings and vehicles were set ablaze by the attackers. So yeah, that explains the burned bodies.
That explains the burned bodies.
Yeah, they set ablaze the cars.
That looks like it been hit by missiles.
But you're saying how could this have happened? How could we have these burned bodies? Because they set ablaze, vehicles were set ablaze by the attackers. That's why. That's what happened.
Both are possible. Like I said, both are possible.
Okay, then if both are possible, then why are you making this? Because now you change your stance because you said like I looked at this wreckage and that could have only been by carpet bombing. Because why are all these burned bodies? Now that I'm looking at it, it seems like they were setting it. They were setting the vehicles were set ablaze by attackers. So that explains why all these cars were burnt out and why some bodies were.
Can you send me the link of that? Which one says that? Send me the link of that.
Yeah. Hold on. Give me a second. Send me more articles for me to check because everything I'm checking is actually easier for me to. It's actually easier than I thought to fact check these things in real time.
Hold on, let me send you the one on.
Let me see if anyone else is waiting. All right, here. Okay, so here's a link that shows that people were burned to death, burned. Hold on. So this one, Israeli raves, music plays against the dead, notes, burned to death. So here, this is one that shows that people were burned, and here. Okay, here's the one that shows that the militants were using live grenades. I don't know why I keep hearing my so militants was using grenades and live fire at the festival. So the grenades also explained why the wreckage looked like so much of the wreckage happened. Okay, here's another link that shows that they were burning the vehicles. Anyways, I think I made my point. And I don't think you're going to be convinced by my points anyways.
Wait, I'm looking up stuff right now. Don't worry. Yeah, it takes time to figure out a lot of stuff. Hold on. Yasmin Polat.
I actually want to go, like, how about we focus on the 50% that you accept that Hamas did? How about that? Instead of the other 50% that you think Israel did. You think that was justified because these people served in the military, so you call them militants? And you think it was justified to kill these young boys and girls that were basically enjoying the music festival?
Well, they didn't invite the youth from Gaza. I've been hanging out with Palestinians since I was in my teenage years. Yo, they love the party. They should have invited the people from Gaza, from the youth from Gaza, to come by and party up with them. So maybe they're kind of at fault for that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they wouldn't have shot up the
because they didn't invite Gazans to party with them. They were deserving of mass execution.
Well, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just playing, man. I mean, I don't think they were
that's not a very funny joke. You know, we're talking about people dying.
Well, people die every day, man.
Okay, so you as a Muslim don't think that's a tragedy? I mean, that's a very telling.
The Israelis have been doing October 7 every day for 75 years against the Palestinians.
So that's whataboutism. You understand that? So you think that the death of the people at the
no,
Festival, you think that the death of the people at the Nova Festival is worth laughing at because people die every day anyways, right? I mean, this is your Islamic values. This is your Islamic values.
No. The Israelis do that for 75 years and they laugh about it and they celebrate it. If you go online,
but you just laughed about it. So let's say that Israelis.
Why do the Jews think that they're chosen people that can walk over people?
This is whataboutism. This is obviously whataboutism. Okay, let's just assume that you're right. Okay, Israelis are evil, Jews are evil, whatever. Okay, even if Israelis were evil and Jews were evil, okay, you are just as evil because you are basically doing the same thing that you claim that they do. Right? You just laughed about the people dying at the music festival, and I said that this is people dying. How is that funny to you? And you said people die every day. So your Islamic values suggest that it doesn't matter that people die. You find that funny. And when I try to get you to explain how that's funny and how that's not a tragedy, you keep talking about other people doing evil things. Well, you're in the same league. You're basically the same as them.
Well, if you're dealing with supremacists that think you're less than them, then the only way to deal with these supremacists is to be like them. That's how I see it, man.
You think the people at the Nova Festival were, first of all, there's so many assumptions here. First of all, I don't know how you check that every single person in the Nova Festival was a supremacist. I don't know if you know that the festival was for peace. A lot of people who were there actually cared about the people in Gaza, and they wanted the best for people in Gaza. But even if they were supremacists, you think that somebody deserves to be killed like that because they have wrong beliefs?
They act upon their beliefs. They're manifested in Palestine. That's why they get what
the people at the festival. Do you know that they harmed anybody? Do you know that anybody harmed anybody?
Well, I don't know specifically about them, but I do know that Western liberals tend to be virtue signaling. A lot of them.
So you don't know specifically about them. But you were just celebrating and laughing at their killing, even though you specifically don't know what they were involved in.
The Israelis do that all the time, man. That's the only way you can deal with them.
How that
By being
like how does that
Yeah,
make
hold
sense?
on.
Were the people okay, let's say Israel is evil, okay? Were the people at the festival, do you know if they individually were involved in any crimes? They themselves, those people in the festival.
Well, they're sitting in. Well, individually, I don't know what they've done or not done, so I
Okay,
can't say
so
for
how
sure.
so you can't be sure if those individuals there were involved in any crimes, and you think it's okay to just go and kill them, even though you don't know specifically those individuals were involved in any crimes or not.
Well,
What if
like I said,
what if I showed you one of the people there that was shot by Hamas was actually trying to improve the lives of the people in Gaza?
that's possible. I'm not denying that, but most of
So
them are not like that.
you just laughed and celebrated their death.
Well, it's possible one or two good people died, but
One or
majority
two.
of the
How do you know how many? How
Listen,
do you know how many of them were
95%
good?
of the Israelis hate the Gazans. They want them out. They want them killed or
The-
expelled.
The
90%.
places Hamas attacked were actually exactly the places in Israel that you had the highest number of sympathizers for Gaza in Israel.
Where?
The areas where Hamas was attacking, the Nova
Supernova?
Festival and all those neighborhoods that they attacked, those were the areas where you had the highest percentage of Israelis sympathizing with the people in Gaza.
So where in Israel do they? No, every time there's a war between Gaza and Israel, these Israeli settlers would go and watch and party up over that. Over the last few conflicts they had together, the settlements,
All Israelis as a whole.
thousands,
Talking
in large
about those.
crowds, in large crowds.
You don't.
In large
You
crowds, in
understand.
large
You
crowds.
understand that you're generalizing entire group of people, right? And you're just attributing some things that you have seen from some people.
I'm not judging it. I'm not judging Israeli Jews based on individual actions. Hold on, I'm not judging them individually. I'm judging them as a collective, just like they judge others collectively.
So because some people judge you first of all, nobody needs to judge you collectively. You as an individual have the most horrible beliefs. Okay, so we don't need to judge you collectively. But yeah, sure. But even you think so your beliefs are perfect. You think other people judging you collectively gives you the justification to judge them collectively?
Yeah, what's wrong with that? It's a dog eat dog world.
So
dog eat dog world.
Okay, so let's say there's group A and group B, okay? Somebody from group A judged everybody in group B collectively, right? But there are other people in group A that didn't do such a thing. Because some people from group A judge group B collectively, do you think it's fair from somebody from group B to judge group A collectively, even though there are people within that group that didn't judge group B collectively?
If it's for group survival, why not? If it's for group survival, why not? People do things what they
so you're acknowledging your perfect belief gives you the justification to hurt innocent people because some people are evil. You get the justification to hurt people that haven't committed any crime, haven't done any evil. You can be evil to them because they're part of a group that has done evil, even though those individuals haven't done anything evil. That's what you're saying.
It's a survival tactic, but it's a survival tactic, and it works.
I mean, that's evil, and if you consider that perfect,
no, it's not evil, man. It's not evil, man. It's not evil.
You are justifying the killing of innocent civilians. That by your own words, you're admitting that your so-called perfect belief gives you the justification for targeting and killing civilians just based on guilt by association, just because they belong into a group of people that has done something wrong. That's what you're suggesting. I mean, by the way, how is that survival tactic working out for you? Because it seems like it's not working that much. You're like, it's a survival tactic. Well, so far you're being fucked, and Israel is doing all the surviving, and your side is the one losing.
Because they're willing to take on everybody, not just the people in Gaza. The main intention wasn't about
so
Gaza.
You have lost the moral ground and the survival ground at the same time.
Well, if they die,
Like,
they're going to paradise, so it's not an issue. And if they gain victory, is victory. But let me explain to you. The issue about Gaza is just a side issue, is a red herring. Netanyahu wants all the land from the Nile to the Euphrates, and from what do you call
where's
it?
the
The
where's the proof
Mediterranean.
for that? Israel has given up more land than any other country for the sake of peace. Israel has held land and give it away willingly for the sake of peace more than any country in the whole world.
Said who? No, they haven't. They were losing
Yes,
in
they have.
1973.
No, yes, they have.
1973.
Israel has given up Gaza. Israel has given up the Sinai Peninsula, which is actually a massive a body of land bigger than all of Israel today combined. They have given it up for the sake of peace. Israel, like this is the exact opposite of what Israel has done. Israel is
No, no.
accused of trying to expand its borders, even though it has given up land more than any other country. Land that it could have easily held on to, it gave it
No, they
up
could-
willingly for the sake of peace.
They couldn't have held on to the Sinai. They won the Sinai in 1967 when they were not.
They
the
could have
Egyptians were not
easily
prepared.
they could have easily held on to
in
it. They could
70
also
in
easily
70
they could have also held on to Gaza. They gave up on Gaza for the sake of peace.
No, in 73 they knew they couldn't maintain it. They could have conquered temporarily, but their troops
Oh,
were being spread out.
No.
Their troops were
That's
being
not
spread
true.
out in 1973. They did cross a few battalions did cross into the
They
Nile.
captured it so easily. They could have held it so easily
No,
as well. What about
no.
Gaza? What about
like-
Gaza? Could they not
Huh?
have held on to Gaza? They gave up on Gaza for the sake of peace.
But they didn't give them the rights to have a state. They made them live in a.
They did.
in
No,
a,
no, they gave them the
it-
right to have. They gave them the
No.
right to. They had
There was
elections.
fact-
They chose a state. What do you mean they didn't give them the right? First, they gave them everything. They moved out.
It was a
They had an
prison, man. It's
election.
an
They
open
chose
air
a state.
prison. Buddy, there was an open air prison. They didn't allow them to run the
After
airport. They
no,
didn't allow
okay,
them-
Rajib, you have to get the order. You have to get the order right. It became first of all, it's when you say an open air prison, you have to acknowledge that Egypt closes its border. So Israel is not turning it into a prison because Israel does not control all the borders of Gaza. One, two, the blockade that you're referring to was not there before Hamas declared war on Israel. It's your duty as a country. When
did
Hamas
the-
declares
when did
war,
the-
when Israel,
did the blockade-
this is the order. This is the order of things. Israel gave in to the demand, left Gaza, allowed them to basically control their own territory, gave them a country. Basically, that was Palestine. They wanted the two-state solution. They gave them that land for them to choose their own government. They left. They forced all of the Jews out of Gaza. They even dig their bones out of Gaza and basically removed all Jews out of Gaza, both dead and alive. Right. So and what did the so-called Palestinians do in Gaza? They started burning down everything that Israel has built and left for them because they said that this is Jewish made. So they destroyed everything that all the resources that Israel had left them. Then they elected Hamas. Hamas declared war on Israel. And once Hamas declared war on Israel, Israel had the responsibility and the duty. Hold on. Israel had the responsibility and duty to protect its borders. It's not Israel's fault that when you protect your borders, if it turns into a blockade, well, Israel has every right to protect its borders against an aggressing state.
Let me explain to you something. The people in Gaza, 80% of them are refugees from the wars of 1947 and 48. They're from the Nakba, so they want their land back. That's the main purpose of Hamas winning, and for them to be so-called radicalized, according to you, so that they can get their land back in occupied Palestine. Now, if the Israelis allow them to be Israelis and give them Israeli passports and then let them come back in, that would be different completely. If then Hamas wouldn't have a reason to exist. Hold on, let me explain. Hamas only exists because of the way Israel treats the Palestinians in Gaza. If the Palestinians in Gaza were given the rights to become full-scale Israeli citizens like Israeli Arabs, then they would not have a reason to vote for Hamas. That's the entire reason behind it. If tomorrow Israel annexes Gaza and gives Palestinians in Gaza the right to become Israelis and move to Ashkelon and other parts of Palestine and give
What are
them
you
nice
talking about? The people in Gaza they didn't want to be Israelis. They wanted to destroy Israel. They wanted to wipe. So you're saying? So what are you talking about? First of all, if Israel did what you're suggesting, first of all, that would be the end of Israel. Second of all, that's not what the so-called Palestinians wanted.
No.
The so-called
Why-
Palestinians didn't want to become Israeli citizens. They wanted to wipe out Israel and make all of the land Palestine. Okay,
Wrong,
obviously
wrong,
Israel.
wrong.
No, that's
Wrong.
completely correct. They wanted to make everything. They wanted from the river to the sea for all of that to be Palestine, and they don't even believe in the name Israel. What are you talking about? Okay, so and also, well,
The reason that they want, okay, the reason they're hostile to Israel is because Israel is not allowing the refugees to come back. That's the main reason behind this, and violating their rights. That is the main reason.
no, first of all, the refugee status cannot be inherited in multiple generations. That's not how a refugee status works. Okay,
Said who?
So-
Who said that? Who said that? Oh, no, then why are the Jews there?
that's how it works for all for all refugees around the world except Palestinians for some reason.
No. Then why are the Jews there for after 3,000 years? If that doesn't work for them, why are the Jews there after 3,000 years?
Nobody said that the Jews were refugees, other than the ones who were kicked out of Islamic countries.
No.
Okay, so
not all of them.
They were settlers. I didn't say they were refugees.
No. They were. What do you mean?
So
they were
you're
not
you're
refugees?
you're
The
mixing
Jews
your
were
arguments. You have to pick your argument. We're talking about the
the
refugee
Jews-
claim. They are not refugees, and refugee
Jews-
status cannot get inherited from one generation to another.
Okay,
missing- you're
the leadership, the Jewish Zionist leadership.
Hold on,
brought them
you have to. You have to finish one argument before you try to switch it. Like you're trying to slip away from this. I cornered you, and you're trying to run away. Okay, so first of all,
hold on. Mm.
no. So first of all, okay, so the Nakba happened only because Arab countries tried to destroy Israel, right? That's why the
That's
Nakba
not
happened.
That is not true.
Under
That
the
is
British mandate, when I'm sorry, after 1948, when the UN declared both Israel and Palestine to be a country, the Jews accepted both countries. The Arabs did not accept both countries. The Arab countries united to try to destroy Israel, and they lost, and that's why the Nakba happened.
Why-
So the Nakba,
why-
these people being forced to leave their land, because when Israel was being founded, they were completely willing to make all the Arabs on the Israeli side
You're
to
wrong.
be equal citizens.
Wrong.
Hold on. Let me make my point. They were completely willing. And the evidence is that the 20% Arabs that were remained there, we can see that they have equal rights to the Jews in Israel. So when Israel was being founded as a country, all the Arabs that were there, Israel was willing to make them citizens of Israel with equal rights to everyone else. But it was the Arab countries who attacked Israel and made these Arabs leave this land, and that's why we had the Nakba. Israel didn't force them to leave. It was the Arab countries who attacked them that forced them to leave.
No. Before the Arab-Israeli wars in 1947, you had Jewish terrorist gangs and militias like the Irgun, the Lehi, the Haganah, etc. All of them were conducting.
How does that even negate anything
But
that I
listen,
said?
That's related to exactly why the Palestinians were shifted off to Gaza. They were unarmed. They were an unarmed population.
The so-called Palestinians that were leaving that area only left that area. You don't know their history. They only left that area in response to Arab countries attacking. All of those things that you're suggesting was not making them move out of the area.
Listen, 80% of the Palestinians in Gaza are from Ashkelon, from the south, the biggest city in Gaza.
How is that?
Al-Majd.
Are you even listening to what I'm saying? This is a known fact. This is not even disputed. When the Nakba happened, at the moment the Arab countries united to attack Israel. They left. The Arabs who left the area, they thought that let's leave, because obviously these Arab nations all united against Israel, they're going to win. Let's leave
Armin,
so that we could avoid the war. Hold on, let's leave so that we could avoid the war. And once they win, then we will come back to our homes. But they left because they were trying to avoid the war that the Arab countries started.
You weren't even alive when that happened. But let me explain to you what the sources say.
It's history. Okay. It's known history. This is not even disputed by Muslims. What are you talking about? This is not even disputed by Arab countries. This is known history.
The Israelis first declared a state, and they took a certain amount of Arab land.
United Nations declared both Israel and Palestine a state. The Jews accepted both. The Arabs didn't accept it because they.
Listen, let me explain to you. You're again you're screaming over me. Let me explain to you. Why should the Palestinians split their land for the Jews to have a state on that part of the world? They can live together in one state. The Jews did not want to live in one state. They wanted to create a separate country out of their land, which the Arabs never agreed to. The Arabs never, when the Jews claimed the Israeli state, when they declared the Israeli state, all the Arabs united because of that, because they never recognized that the creation of that state, because it was never meant to be given to them.
That
If
first of
somebody
all,
comes,
the
that is the
Arabs
exact
were
same.
against the Jewish people coming there from the beginning.
No. A
Yes,
lot of
yes, 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 yes,
you
yes,
know,
yes.
no,
And also, it wasn't their
Hadith,
land.
look up.
It wasn't their
Listen,
land. It wasn't their land. That was not their land. It was not
whose
splitting
land
the
are you
land. It
talking?
was not the Arab land. That land.
Yeah, it was part of the Waqf of the Islamic Caliphate of the Ottoman Empire. It was Muslim
Oh yeah,
territory.
yeah. And last time I checked, in 1948, there was no Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman
Okay,
Empire had collapsed.
so the UN mandated that the one section of the land be divided, and the Arabs didn't agree to the UN mandate. That's what happened. The
Yeah,
UN proposed.
what gives them the right to disagree with that? It was
Well,
they didn't hold any private ownership over that land. That land
yes, they
belonged to the
did.
Ottoman
Yes, they
Empire.
did. You're
No, they
completely
didn't.
making
No, they
things up.
didn't.
Yes, they
These
did.
were empty land. Okay, so
No,
I think you don't understand the concept of ownership. Okay,
no,
are you talking about political
no.
control or private ownership?
They're actually owned by the Arabs from Bilad al-Sham.
Nope,
They never said.
you're
They
wrong.
never agreed to it. If somebody divides your house, if I come in and take two of your bedrooms and claim it's
You're
mine,
mixing two concepts. Okay,
Listen, you live in a flat, or an apartment, or a house, wherever you live in. If you have two bedrooms that are empty, I can come in and claim it. It doesn't make sense. That's exactly what happened.
so
in
you're
occupied.
confused. You're
What do you mean?
confused because let me
Who gave the
explain to
UN
you.
the
Okay,
right
can I show you how this is a false analogy? Okay,
What? No,
so
it's not.
my house. Well, I mean, you saying it's not an argument. I'm actually going to make an argument. You saying it's not an actually, that's not an argument. Okay, so let me show you how that's a false analogy. My house, I own my house. It's my property. If somebody comes, takes that away from me, that's theft. Okay. Do you agree that if I own a farm, okay, and the house inside the farm, that house and that farm is my private property? Do you agree?
If you own a house inside a
If
farm?
I'm an Arab, okay,
Mm.
in this area that we call Israel today, and I own a farm and my house, and this is my farm and my house, that's my private property. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
perfect.
Do you think that now, but this farm and this house is my private property? Do you think the land that is right next to it, that I don't own, that it's empty and nobody has settled in it? Do you think that's also my private property just because I live in like close to it? Just because my private property is close to?
It's public property for the residents of the area.
No. It's okay. No, so public. It's not public property. You're talking about public. You're talking about political control. There's a concept called political management and control, and there's private property. Okay, the political control and management belong to the Ottoman Empire. The private property of the Arabs, they had private property, but that's limited to the actual houses and farms that they privately owned. You cannot say that all of these empty fields, all of these like swamps and all of these mountains, all of this is ours, because you don't actually privately own them. You privately own the houses and the farms that you own. You cannot say that all of this area, including the empty swamps and fields and mountains, are privately owned by us. Okay. The only control a public entity had over those areas was by the Ottoman Empire, and the Ottoman Empire had collapsed. Does that make sense?
It makes sense so far.
Okay, that's good.
So what I'm trying to get at is the UN's mandate to split the land was never recognized by the Arabs. So if a third party comes in and says this part of your house, okay, a third party, say the government, the local government comes into your house and says, you got 2 bedrooms, you got to give it to somebody else. How are you going to react? You're going to be upset. You're going to fight back. That is exactly what happened. There was a
Oh my
mandate.
God.
It was proposed by the British, and the Arabs revolted, and there were
But that's
disagreements.
not. But I was telling you that how that's not the same thing, because if the United Nations comes and says that he like separates this land for a Jewish state and an Islamic and an Arab state, they're dividing not like when you're dividing a house like that, that's private ownership. They weren't going out and telling the Arabs like, oh, this house and this farm that you own, you don't own it anymore. That's not what they were doing. They were saying this land is now under the control of a Jewish state, and every Arab that owns a farm and a house in this land gets to keep it. Okay? He gets to keep it. They were saying the management, this area is now a country called Israel, and everybody in this country that owns every private property gets to keep their private property. So they weren't stealing anyone's private property.
Okay, so give you the example of Muhammad Hadid, Bella Hadid and Hadid's father, right? Gigi Hadid and Bella Hadid's father. Their family was living in occupied Palestine, I think in Haifa or somewhere. I'm not exactly sure in what is today Israel. And they allowed the Jewish refugees to come in. So don't say that the Arabs weren't hospitable to the Jews. They were. And when they came in, after there was a war, they were refugees. They had to flee temporarily. When they came back, the Jews occupied their homes. So I mean, it's live evidence.
So that's yeah. So
that's exactly what happened. No, but they allowed. First of all, you're saying that the Arabs didn't allow the Jews to come in after, like during World War II and before. The Arabs
I didn't say all. I'm sure there were some good Muslims and some good Arabs. I'm sure there are.
The reason they allowed the Jews to come in because they thought that the Jews would coexist with them, but the Jews didn't coexist with them. That's the problem.
No, okay. So even way before 1948, there were many pogroms and many massacres against Jews by Muslims against Jews before 1948. Even before we had anything called Zionism, there were many Muslims and Arabs. There are many examples of Arabs killing Jews in large numbers. Okay, so both of them exist. What?
They're nuanced. No. It's more political and stuff. There's more nuance than that. There were some other issues.
So I'm glad that you acknowledge that happened. Okay, so don't try to.
No, it's not like
everybody was welcome.
Innocent. You pretend the Jews were innocent, and
I didn't. Actually, if you knew me, you wouldn't say that. I think that people are complicated, and we have good and bad among Jews as well. Okay, so I actually have a history of criticizing, defending good Jewish people and criticizing bad Jewish people. I never actually acted like all Jews are good. In fact, even in our conversation, like I don't know, you say that I act like all Jews are innocent, even though in our conversation I acknowledge that there are some radical Jewish schools that teach their children in Israel that all Arabs need to die. So I acknowledge that. So how could you tell me that I pretend that all Jews are good, even when you actually witness that I acknowledge that, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I don't actually say that. But
actually, this is the first time I heard you acknowledge that. All your other
I said that before to your conversation. I actually said that when you said that when you said that they're teaching that in Israel. I said no, there are some radical Jews that teach that, and most Israel condemns that. That's what I said. Most of Israel condemns it. So I acknowledge that they exist.
I disagree. I don't think most Israel condemns that. I think a lot of them support that. How do you figure out most of Israel?
There's stats on this. Actually, Israel is a very secular country. It's more secular than any other Arab country around them. And most Israelis actually do not like the religious radicals in their country. All right. But again, let me actually get to the point. After 1948, yeah, true. Were at some point Arabs forced to leave their private property? Yes, after 1948, because of the Nakba, because of the attack of Arab countries, they were displaced. I'm just saying, before the Arab countries attacked, there was no displacement. Israelis were willing to have a state with Arabs being able to hold on to their lands, hold on to their houses, hold on to their private property, and live as equal citizens in Israel. The only reason why they were displaced after 1948 was because of the attack of Arab countries on Israel.
Okay, I heard you. So the Palestinians are fighting against the British, right? Why do they have to recognize what the British mandate proposes? The proposal
UN.
of the British
mandate. It was the UN. It was the UN.
Well, they don't have to recognize it if they consider themselves.
Yeah, they don't have to look at. Yeah, they don't have to, and they didn't. Look at the results.
That's the exact. Okay, so You're right. You're right, and I'm right. We're both right. They didn't recognize it. The Arabs didn't recognize the Israelis.
They
thought it's
didn't
theirs.
have. No, let me agree with you. They didn't have to accept it, but if they had accepted it, they would be living much better lives today.
I'm not sure about that because the Arabs in
I'm
Palestine
sure,
still
but
receive. Oh,
look
hold
at
on.
look
There's
at look
still-
at the Arabs. Look at the Arabs in Israel. They're the best.
There's a lot of-
The
there's a
best
lot-
place. The best place to be an Arab right now is in Israel. The best
There's a
place
lot
in
of
the Middle East.
discrimination.
The best place in the Middle East and North Africa to be a Muslim is in Israel. The best
Yeah,
place
let me
in the Middle East and North Africa to be an Arab is in Israel.
I doubt
yeah,
that.
I
No,
know
but
that.
let me. Oh, hold on. No, because there are a lot of discrimination against them still, against the Israeli Arabs. There's a lot of acts and laws and regulations that are discriminatory towards them. So it's not like
There is
everything's
no.
perfect.
There is absolute. There's zero
Yes,
laws. Give me one
Okay,
law.
let
Give me one law in Israel that is against Arabs. One
Hold
law.
on.
If you're talking about the fact that there is some racism against Arabs in Israel, yeah, I completely acknowledge that. Is there discrimination against Arabs in Israel? Yes, I acknowledge that. Just
Hold on,
the
I'm sending
same.
you.
as-
I'm sending you.
hold on, let me
hold on.
make my point. Let me make my point. Just in the same way that there is racism and discrimination in every single other country in the world, there is racism and discrimination. So does Israel have some racism? Yes, it does. Every other
Wait.
country also has that.
So you're
But
just saying
are
there's no
there
laws.
any laws? Are there any laws against
Yeah.
Arabs
Let
in
me.
Israel?
Yes.
Show me. What?
Yes, one. I'm sending you a link. This is a hard-coded law from Al Jazeera, but it's still based on evidence, hard evidence. Okay, based on written documents. Then
Al
there's the
Jazeera.
adalat, is justice. Adalat is justice in Arabic. So that's for what do you call
Okay, I don't. Do
reports
you have
on
a better
the-
source? Do you have a better source than Al Jazeera?
Okay, hold on. I'm looking it up. 1 second. One other source. 1 second. There's so many of them. I don't even know why this is an issue. Your third one. Is codified in their law, not just discrimination, run-of-the-hill discrimination. Discrimination against Arabs. Look at that. Al-Istiqlal.net. That's one. There's so many laws. I don't even know how this is in it. How you not able to find this?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me send you more. Arab Center DC. This is an American nonprofit. Okay, so it's not like things are perfect or hunky-dory for the Arabs either. There is systematic discrimination against Palestinians in Israel, Israeli Arabs. Okay, I'm just pointing that out. Is it better than the Palestinians and the Arabs in Gaza? Of course, no one's denying that, but it's still not perfect. Okay, Arab minority rights. Okay, there you go. So there's some discrimination.
Hold on, let me
Okay.
check. Yeah, again, you sending me like I'm bringing you points, and you're sending me articles that I have to fact check live on air.
Yeah, okay, but you don't have to. We can come back another day and discuss this. Okay,
No,
you can come back another day
yeah,
and
but
discuss this.
this
You
is
don't have
something
to.
that this is called article dumping on top of somebody like you. When people run out of points, they're just like, here, read this and this and this and this.
You want me to get just? Do you want me to do a summary from ChatGPT or something? I can do that. It'd be a lot easier.
Hold on, let me see. I cannot fact check these things and listen to you. Okay, so you're talking about the Israelis' 2018 nation state basic law, which affirms Israel's character as a nation state of the Jewish people, but this is largely declarative but it's not an automatic license to override equality protections. So that's, by the way, when that came out, I was against it, but that is really, so far it hasn't had any effects on the enforcing of the laws. I do not like that declaration, but that's not a law. That's just a declaration. Yeah. By the way, let me actually tell you what I've seen in what actually gets practiced by law is truth. Did you know that in Israel, Arab judges, Supreme Court Arab judges have sentenced 2 Jewish former prime ministers to prison? Did you know that?
Yeah, I know that. I know about that. The Zionists.
Did you know that many of the doctors in Israel are Arab? In universities, Arabs are way represented based on their percentage of their population. Did you know that actually the only law that I know that is discriminatory is discriminatory against the Jews because, and in Israel, the law says that Jews have to serve in the military, but Arabs don't have to serve in the military. Did you know that in Israel, uh, there are Sharia courts funded by taxpayer money? That Jewish
Well,
tax money goes into funding Sharia courts.
hold on. Under Islamic rule, the same thing happened. We funded their halakha.
No, but
their
did you know that Jewish people's tax money in Israel goes into funding Sharia courts for family issues for
so
Muslims?
does so that
No,
so okay.
don't do
maybe
whataboutism. Don't do whataboutism. Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew something like that. The Israeli Arabs do have certain financing from the government. So did Christian Arabs under Iraq. So did Jews under Muslim rule. Jews under Muslim rule also have the
But
same rights.
Jews under Muslim rules do not enjoy equal rights. They are second class citizens.
No,
They
but
are
they had no Muslims finance their schools.
no. The Jews under Islamic government, they actually have to pay extra tax for their dhimmi status.
No,
The
let me explain.
Arabs in Israel have equal rights to Jewish Israelis, but Jews under an Islamic country have to have dhimmi status, which is basically second class citizens.
Let me explain to you what a zimmi is, because you really have no clue. The jizya.
I do
is
actually.
not-
I actually learned it in school. We had Islamic teaching in school.
We're in Iran.
Yes.
Okay, let me explain to you what jizya is. Jizya is a compensation for the non-Muslim minorities, or not even minorities.
Yeah, it's basically it's like the mafia. It's like the mafia. You get protection money.
It's not like the mafia. If you're a Christian or a Jew or Majus or Zoroastrian and you fight for the Islamic government, you don't have to pay jizya. And there were cases
not Zoroastrian, because Zoroastrian is not Ahlul Kitab. You don't know your Islam.
No, I do, because Ali bin Abu Talib says that Zoroastrian are Majus in the Quran, and they can be classified for jizya payments if they don't fight for the Muslim government.
Who said that? Who said that?
Ali bin Abu Talib. You're a Shia. You should know. You're from a Shia background.
Okay,
You should know
okay,
this.
so in Nahjul Balagha, where did he say that?
Some source. I'm not from a Shia background, but I still read it lots of places. But nonetheless, let's just
No, okay, so that's not true. Ahlul Kitab is only Abrahamic religion, so it's only Christians
no. In some
and Jews.
cases, listen to me carefully. Some cases.
Yeah, so I actually know the history of this. They actually fabricated. No. When they captured Iran, because there were too many Iranians that they could not kill, they fabricated some hadiths to include Zoroastrians and as Ahlul Kitab, because there were too many of them to kill, right? But eventually, when they reached India, they didn't do that anymore, and they considered all of them to be worthy of killing.
You're wrong about India. You know, when who opened India? Who opened the Futuhat for India to enter Islam? It was Hajjaj bin Yusuf.
We're getting off topic.
We're talking about jizya. We're talking about jizya here. So you're telling me that jizya is mafia, and it's not. It's just a compensation. You know,
do you agree that the jizya has to be paid when the non-Muslim is humiliated and humbled, so that he knows his place?
No, I don't agree with that. And it was not always
that's a hadith. You don't know your hadith. You don't know Islam. We have Sahih hadith. And the Quran actually supports this as well. That says that when you pay the jizya, you have to be humiliated. You have to show
that when the war is ended.
You want me to go find it now?
Where?
You want me to actually look it up now?
You're talking about the Quran? I know what the Quran says. It says they should be subjugated by paying jizya, but that's in the context of a war. Once the war is done and they've submitted, then they don't have to be subjugated or humiliated constantly. It's not perpetual. The problem with you is that you think it's perpetual.
Islam teaches when you're paying when the non-Muslims are paying their mafia money to Muslims, they have to actually be made to feel humiliated. We have hadith. Muhammad himself says that whenever you see a Christian or a Jew in the street, you push them to the corner of the. Don't say hi to them unless they say hi to you, and push them to the corner of the street.
That's a
And the
questionable hadith.
Quran says that never. The Quran says that never make friends with Jews or Christians.
No,
You don't-
no,
you-
no. It didn't say don't make friends. It said don't make an alliance or guardianship with Jews and Christians who are against you. That's all it said. It didn't say make friends. It didn't say
It
don't.
It says because
what's
they're
the
not
word?
of you. You're not.
No, listen. The word for friend is sahabi or sadiqi. It didn't say sahabi or sadiqi. It said awliya. Awliya means alliance or client. A client or guardian is alliance. Don't make alliance between Jews and Christians. You're just completely manufacturing stories right now, man. You completely
Wait.
lying to people.
Do you disagree with the hadith that Muhammad says that you need to push Jews and Christians? Do not say hi to them unless they say. Do not say be the first person that says hi to them and then push them into the corner
The
of the
problem-
street.
The problem is, okay.
Wait, does
when it
that
comes
hadith
to-
exist or not? Does that hadith exist or not?
I'm not aware of. I'm honestly not aware of it, or I don't recall. But let us say
Okay,
it does.
so I'm
Let
not
us say-
fabric. So you don't know your Islam.
No,
You
no,
want
no.
me to-
Listen, the hadith is not the main source of the foundation of Islam. Is the Quran.
Oh, wait, are you a Quranist? Do you wait?
No,
are
no.
you
Listen
saying,
to me. Listen.
are you
listen to me.
are you saying that Sahih? You do not believe the authenticity of Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari? You do not agree with that?
It's not 100% authentic. No, they just collected what
So
a lot of it is.
if I give you a hadith that has been marked as Sahih by Bukhari and Muslim, you would not. You would say that that's not 100%.
Who marked it? Hold on. Is it mutawatir or is it not? Is it mursal? Is it khabar ahad? There's different
Let's say
classifications.
it's not. Let's say it's Sahih but not mutawatir. Would you not would you not agree with it because it's only Sahih but not mutawatir?
Yeah, only hadiths I classify as mutawatir as the ones that I consider.
Do you
closest to
understand that
Quran.
you just threw out 99% of Islam out the window? You know that there's not
No,
much left of your Islam. Do you know
There's
what
only Quran.
percentage of
No,
do you know
hold on,
do you know
hold on.
what percentage do you know what percentage of hadith is mutawatir?
Like 10%.
The vast
5%.
majority of you don't know how to do most of Islamic. The 4 of the 5 pillars of Islam, you have no idea how to do it anymore based on the hadith that you just got rid of.
No, we're gonna discuss that differently. There are different mazahib that pray differently when it comes to salawat. Okay, when it comes to fasting, it's all in the Quran. It's not 100% if and this and that. It's not black and white the way you want to say.
It doesn't tell you exactly how to do it. It doesn't tell you how to do the Hajj. It doesn't know you wouldn't know how to do the salat. You wouldn't know how to do the zakat.
Hold on.
You wouldn't
regarding
know how to do
salah,
anything.
The salah is
The only thing that is left for you is the shahadatain. The movements that you need to do in the salat, you have no idea. You have no idea where to put your hand. You don't know how to.
No, the main guidelines of the Quran, or what do you call salat, is in the Quran. The main guidelines,
Nope.
but what do you call?
Do you know exactly how to do the sajda? Do you know how to do the ruku? Does it give you does it tell you where to hold your? Hey, do you put your hand down or you hold your hand in front like this? Tell me based on the Quran, are the Shias doing it right when they're doing the salat and putting their hand down, or are the Sunnis doing it right when they're holding their hand? Where in the Quran does it tell you where to put your hand?
Your understanding of Islam is the reason why it became an apostate, because the Quran focuses on principles and listen, it focuses on doctrines and principles and not ritual minutiae, like tiny little issues. It's later on Muslims that made an ass out of this.
Okay, so you think it makes no difference that how do I do my prayer? Do you think that's a popular belief in Islam? So you could hold your hand everywhere. You can do the ruku any way you want.
The Ibadis do not listen to me. The Ibadis in Oman or originally the.
Are you an Abadi? I thought you were. Are you an Abadi or a Sunni? I thought you were a Sunni.
Okay, you want to ask me personally? I was born into Hanafi Sunni, right? But I personally.
Okay, Abadis are Khawarij. Are you supporting the Khawarij?
No, they became moderate. The Ibadis became moderate after.
You know the Abadis branch out of the Khawarij, right?
Yes, but they became moderate and similar to Sunni. But let me explain to you.
So you just support, you as a Sunni, as a Hanafi Sunni, defended a branch of the Khawarij. That's basically the most anti-Sunni thing you could do.
Listen. I'm what you call a Gair Mukallid. You ever heard of Gair Mukallid? There are those who are indulgent.
Gair Mukallid, somebody who doesn't copy?
Yeah, a free thinker. But within the Islamic context. So it's not like
you're supposed to copy. You're a Muslim. You have to submit fully. So you have to
no.
you have to copy Muhammad. You have
Listen,
to be,
buddy,
you have to
you're
muqallid, you have to do
you're-
taqlid of Muhammad. Don't you agree? You're a Hanafi. You should agree with that. That you should be taqlid. You should be taqlid in Muhammad. So how could you be a ghayr muqallid?
no, hold on a second. The ijtihad, Islam allows ijtihad. Even Rasulullah allowed ijtihad. The Muslims in the Hadith say Rasulullah allowed
But you
ijtihad.
have to do taqlid of Muhammad. Do you not agree with that?
When it comes to the main principles of the religion from the Quran,
Okay, so
yes.
you are a muqallid.
Okay, no, not little issues, not little issues like how to pray and all that. Those issues are up to
So
the
you can
individual.
pray in whatever you want. Can I jump up and down when I'm praying? Can I do a
Come on,
backflip?
right? That-
Can I do a
that's not-
backflip when I'm doing? Can I do a
That's
backflip
not-
when I'm doing the salat?
That's not what I meant. You understand exactly what I'm talking about because within the different mazahib, this Shafi, the Hanafi, the Maliki, they have different rights, left and right. It's not 100% the same. Okay, it's not black. It's not verbatim. It's not word for word. So you get what I'm trying to say, but you're just fucking around. I know that. Okay. Nonetheless,
No, I'm not.
so-
I'm actually showing the contradiction in your belief. I'm not fucking
No.
around.
when the Quran is more about principles and doctrines, it's not too much about rituals the way you want it, and where a lot of Muslims
No, the
do.
Quran is very much about rituals. The Quran is
No,
very
it's
much
more-
about rituals. The entire Islam is about rituals. It's
about
obsessed
principles.
with rituals.
What does salah mean? What does salah mean? You guys call it namaz in Farsi. What does salah mean in the Arabic?
Yeah, it's a five prayers that Muslims do every day. I mean,
The-
Shias
the
actually.
linguist-
I agree that Shias are cheaters. They turned it into three by combining two of them. So
No.
yeah.
Well, they didn't cheat exactly. The Shias are right too, by the way, because there are instances
Oh.
where the Prophet did shorten it when he wasn't busy or tied up with different things or traveling. But nonetheless,
Do you believe in the story that when Muhammad went to when he did his irja and when he went to heaven, he saw he basically saw
I have doubts about that. I swear to God, I have doubts about the story about the getting 50 rakat in heaven and all that. That's
50
completely against the
rakat.
Quran.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
I'm telling you, a lot of hadiths are fabricated. I'm not gonna deny it. But the one about killing Jews in the end of the days, that's
that one is
100% right.
Oh, okay,
Alhamdulillah.
so a lot, alhamdulillah. Okay, wow, okay, that's very telling. So, a lot of hadiths are fabricated. Don't trust all these hadiths to make Islam ridiculous. The one that you could trust is the one that says that Muslims will one day kill all of the Jews. That's the one that we could trust in.
MashaAllah, you got it, brother. Anyway, so the word salah in Arab, I was talking about salah. Salah means contact, connect with Allah. So when you're doing a contact prayer, salawat, the Hebrew language says shul. The Jews do their prayers in the shul. They call it shul for the synagogue, right? Likewise, psalm. What does psalm mean? It means to abstain. When you're fasting, you're abstaining from what? Drinking and sex and fucking and all that, right? So you need to understand the linguistics of the Arabic language because Islam is Persianized. A lot of Muslims, especially from the subcontinent, use Iranian terminology. You know, if Iran was Sunni today, you guys would probably still love Islam more than being a Shia. That's what I believe, man. That's why a lot of Sunni Muslims prefer Iran becomes Sunni, even if that brings down
Yeah,
the
don't worry.
Ayatollah.
Even in the Sunni world, atheism is rising and more people are leaving Islam. So that argument
Where
doesn't follow.
Where exactly?
Everywhere in the Islamic world, young people are leaving Islam.
Actually, no. In Saudi Arabia, because of blind dogma, like you're saying, taqlid, Mohammed bin Salman decided to give his people, he decided to train young Arabs into critical thinking because of that, so that people stick to Islam. He saved Islam. Mohammed bin Salman, a lot of people don't know this, he actually saved Islam by removing all of these excessive laws. Like, he made it more like Turkey.
Mohammed bin Salman is trying to become an ally of Israel. Do you understand that?
Yeah, the Israelis want to conquer Mecca and Medina on the long term, in the long run. That's why he signed a pact with Pakistan recently. Why do you think he signed a nuclear pact with Pakistan? Nuclear defense.
That's because they're terrified of the Islamic Republic in Iran, not because of Israel.
It's not Iran.
Yes.
It's Israel. Because after Israel attacked Qatar, they're afraid of Israel more. They're saying Iran, but they don't care about Iran.
No, they're terrified. They're terrified. They're getting closer to Israel because they're terrified of the Islamic Republic.
They were trying to get close to Israel, but Hamas's operation and Benjamin Netanyahu's craziness, the Likud party, all these right-wing Zionists, they kind of fucked it up, man. They really blundered when
they delayed it. They're trying to find a way to get back to Israel, but they delayed it because it's harder to justify that to their own people because of what Israel is doing. But they're trying to let time. They actually have communicated with Americans that this is not going to stop them become. So by the way, you acknowledge that. So you actually acknowledge that Mohammed bin Salman wants to actually build ties with Israel, and you're saying Israel fucked it up.
Hold
So
on.
you're celebrating Mohammed bin Salman, who wants to actually wanted to at least become an ally of Israel. That's the
No,
man
no,
you're
I don't.
actually-
Hold on. You're jumping to conclusions here, man. You're jumping the gun. I praise Salman when he does certain things that are right, like he tried to make people more open-minded and he tried to get rid of all these excessive
Mohammed
laws.
bin Salman. You know what? I think Mohammed bin Salman hates Islam. I think he
But you
hates
can't prove
Islam.
that. You can't prove. He can't prove that. You
Yeah,
can't prove
that's
that.
what I said. That's like I said. I just had. That's just a guess based on what I've seen from him. I mean, I don't like the guy, but I really do think that he hates Islam, and he thinks that he's stuck with this fucking barbaric mind fuck of a
No,
virus
you
for his
never
country.
hate Islam because the Hajj is profitable for Saudi, and Pakistan is more than willing to fight for
Oh,
Saudi.
the Islam right now is more costly for Saudi Arabia than it's profitable. The amount of investments and the amount of trade and the amount of tourism that they could have had if this country was not Islamic would have been astronomically higher than whatever the Hajj is bringing them. Anyways, man, I need to go, but I just wanted to acknowledge one more time that you wanted to get rid of so much of the hadith because they were sahih and not mutawatir, but you want to keep holding on to the hadith that promises
Because it's
that
coming true. It's
Muslims will
coming
be
true.
killing the Jews all around the world one day. So that's all I need to know about the barbarity and of your religion and
No, what do you
how
mean?
evil, how
The
sick
prophecies
mind,
are being-
how sick minded you people
Hold on,
are. Like,
let me tell you
that's
how-
all I
how-
need to.
no, let me-
Everything you said one side, just keeping that. This is basically the best way for me to demonstrate that to my audience. What a
No,
mind
hold-
fuck, what a mind
So,
virus Islam is.
buddy, you're not even getting to the point. If modern political realities did not make the situation conducive for this to happen, then it will be a fake hadith. And because it's real, it did come about. That's what it proves the authenticity of that hadith. You get what I'm saying? It's not the others
Yep,
are not.
that
That's the
doesn't
reason.
negate. That doesn't negate anything I said. At the end of the day, you're
If-
celebrating a hadith. You're celebrating a hadith that promises the killing of all Jews by Muslims, and you believe that this
in
is going to
occupied
happen.
Palestine, primarily in Palestine.
You actually believe that one day Muslims will be hunting down Jews all around the world.
In Palestine for sure. In Palestine for sure. When they blow up the mosque, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, is gonna happen.
I
No
mean,
doubt
this is
about it.
why I don't
No.
even need to do much. I just need to let you guys speak for people to understand how evil and barbaric
What?
this
A lot of people
ideology
agree
is.
with me. Billions of people agree with me. So what?
Yeah,
man? You're not.
I agree. I mean,
Billions
do
of-
you think do you think that works in your favor? Saying that there's billions of other people that they have been infected by this mind virus makes you
No.
think that
It proves that we're
that
the right
justifies
path.
your
Hold
that
on.
justifies your position because millions of other people believe it but agree with you like that. You're actually making
Exactly. Alhamdulillah. You're in the
wow.
wrong path. You're in the wrong path,
Yeah,
buddy.
so you
That's why
think
became a Catholic.
okay then
You get
okay
me?
Rajie, then why don't you become a Christian because they're higher in number than Muslims? So what the fuck? Like
No.
you think you're making an appeal to popularity? You're making that one of the dumbest arguments that I've seen out there. You think because there's a high number of you that means that you're correct?
Yes, we're correct. That's why things are happening the way prophecies are meant. Okay, if the prophecies were meant to be fulfilled this way, then the Jews would have been sent to Kenya or Uganda or Argentina or some Russia or some other part of the world, Madagascar. So many places that were offering to or relocate the Jews. All right, the British wanted to relocate them. Why did it happen in Palestine? Because of the prophecies of Muhammad bin
Yeah,
Abdullah.
just,
All right.
you know what? I'm
When-
gonna give that to you. I'm gonna give that to you. You keep promoting that. Yes, your prophet was so good at prophecy. Just keep bragging about that hadith so that more people see what you believe in. You know what? I'm not
You know
even
what?
gonna argue with that. That
You know what?
Rajib, you're correct. That hadith shows that Islam is correct and your prophet had an accurate prophecy. Please go tell more people how accurate of a prophecy your prophet has using exactly this hadith. Please do that. Please tell more people so that more people see exactly what Islam stands for.
Well, that's the
I
well,
appreciate it.
you know what is funny though, buddy, it just proves that you just support
I'm
to
not
the kuffar in the West, the Western kafir. You're just appealing to their support for Israel. The ones that support Israel is because like 90% of Americans support Israel. Well,
You do know that I don't think kafir. Kafir means an infidel. Like you do understand that disbelief is not. I don't consider it an insult. Like, oh, you're supporting the disbelief.
well,
Like, oh wow, I am a kafir myself. I'm a proud kafir. Like, what do you think? Like, what are you scaring me of? I'm actually like you acting like it's a bad thing.
So that
I'm actually I'm not only a kafir. I'm a proud murtad.
Murtad, okay, mashallah. You're gonna burn in hell, but that's good. That's good. You're gonna burn in hell.
That's good.
So,
oh, that's good. Rajie, again, that's good that you're gonna burn in hell. Look how sick your ideology is. I changed my opinion.
You're gonna burn in hell. You're gonna burn in hell, and you're gonna burn hell for misguiding people.
Saying that. Keep saying that and keep celebrating that, because only a sick mind will celebrate somebody being tortured in fire because of it, because them changing their opinion. Do you understand that? How do you understand when they call you barbarians? When they call you barbarians, they have a reason.
Listen, you're believing in falsehood and you're misguiding other people. So of course you should burn in hell. You're sending people to hell, so you should burn in hell.
Torturing people forever because of them basically expressing to other people what their opinions are. That's your sick ideology.
You're just sending people to hell. You're trying to turn people away from God. So you're misguiding people. That's why that you definitely deserve.
Yeah. So expressing my opinion and because it doesn't agree with you deserves eternal torture. That's your sick ideology.
What's wrong with that, man? There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing. No, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing. It's fantastic. You guys are pro torturing people because they disagree with you. That's fantastic.
God will do that. I think I can do that. You're living in Canada anyways. You can be as infidel as you want. No one is going to touch you. But it's only a small percentage of the world. Non-Muslims in this sub-Saharan Africa, the third world, the global south, all support Palestine. So it's not only an Islamic cause, it's a global international cause. Only in the West, you got people who love the Israelis and the Jews. Only a certain percentage that love Jews and Israel. That's it. Because of whatever reason, whatever brainwashing they've undergone,
so
right?
It's not good to love Jews, right, Rajie? That's bad.
They've been expelled out of 109 different countries, man. It's not our fault that people don't like them. They've been vomited. It's not our fault they've been vomited out of so many countries. They weren't expelled. That's an understatement.
Jews have been vomited out of so many countries. Again, I don't need to say anything. I just need you to keep talking so people see what you stand for.
Buddy, listen, they've been vomited the least out of Muslim countries, maybe 2 or 3 times out of the 109.
Because Muslims know how to control. Because as you said, the Muslims know how to control this evil, like you said earlier.
Oh yeah. Right? Yeah, Jews automatically assimilate. MashaAllah. You should be saying Muslims have kept the Jews in check. Muslims have made them behave. Muslims are likely to send Jews to heaven. It's because of those Jews who live under Islam are likely to enter paradise than the ones living outside.
Rajie, I don't know if you understand how good what everything you're saying is for my points. Like you are basically doing my job for me. Like I need you to talk more so I could show people how evil your ideology is and what a death cult Islam is.
It's all subjective, buddy. You believe in moral relativity, anyways. You're an atheist. You're a murtad. You're a kafir. You don't care about subjectivity. So you're the last person to tell me about.
Rajie, I care more. I care about morality way more than you do. Like, look at you, the person that is talking about killing Jews and celebrating it, and talking about killing civilians as collective punishment, and talking about torturing people for having the wrong idea, is talking to me about morality. Wow. Okay. If what you have, Rajie, is called morality, then consider me immoral. Like I prefer, if that is ethics, if that is morality, then actually being immoral is preferable.
Hey, Kafir, listen, man. You are what do you call it? God is gonna punish you first. First of all, God is the one who's gonna torture you at afterlife. I can't really do anything. You don't live under my jurisdiction, okay? Second of all, you're misguiding people. This is a big crime. You're telling people the wrong ideas about Islam that are not true. You're sending people on the wrong path. And
that deserves eternal torture. Anyways, there's a guy named Khalid wants to come up. Let me actually see what he has. Hold on, let me see. I have an appointment coming soon. Let me see how much more time I have. So Rajib, come back again. We could talk more later, okay?
You'll be around tomorrow or what? Tomorrow? How long are you gonna be on
We-
today?
We'll see, but keep an eye on the live streams that I do when I bring people up, okay? Or send
Yeah,
me
man.
an
I like
email.
to
Okay.
send you an email. You're on my
Yeah,
X. You're on my Twitter. I follow you on
Okay,
Twitter.
message me on X. Message me on X. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna
Alright,
let you go because I want to see what Khalid has to say, and then I'll talk to you later. Okay.
Okay, man. Peace out, man.
Okay.
Or burn in
Talk to you
hell.
later.
Marek
Burn
Barak
in hell.
America. Marek Barak Israel.
Okay.
Marek Barak Canada. Okay?
Okay. Your goodbye to me was for me to burn in hell. That's very sweet.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
All right.
See ya.
Bye. That was very sweet. All right. Khalid, do you have anything to say? I'm about to leave soon.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes. Yes. Go on.
I was gonna ask you, why do you support Israel, even though like a lot of the Israelis are like, some of the Israelis are neo-Nazis, like Jewish neo-Nazis, like Benjamin Smotrich and Ben Gvir, who want like greater Israel. Even I understand you're a liberal, you support liberal democracies, but even Israel, it's like going to mostly like a fascist state right now. It's like moving towards fascism. Wouldn't you
So
call out?
you're-
Sorry, you can-
So sorry. Your question is why don't I call out people like Smotrich?
Yeah, like they're Benjamin Netanyahu, Smotrich, and Ben Gvir believe in this greater Israel project. They don't just believe in just taking the West Bank and Gaza Strip. They believe in the idea of reconquering their ancient land, which is historically didn't exist.
So do you know if I have called out Smotrich and Ben Gvir, or do you know if I have or
No.
not?
No,
so I have.
I'm just
I have called them out. I'm against them.
like, but
Smotrich and
I
Ben
just. Oh, okay. So, okay. Also, I have a question.
And I think, and I love Israel, and I think those two people are bad for Israel.
Okay, but wouldn't be saying bad is like, do you support Israel because it's a liberal democracy, or is it because it's a safe haven for Jews also?
So I support Israel. Spend a lot of my time supporting Israel, and I'll tell you why. But let me tell you, even if Israel wasn't doing all the things that I support every country, every single country. Okay, I support Iran, Israel, Saudi Arabia, North Korea, South Korea, not their government. Every single country, I support them, and that includes
Okay.
Israel. Okay, so why do I spend time supporting Israel more than other countries? There are multiple reasons, right? First of all, because Israel gets threatened, gets with annihilation more than any other country. Do you agree to that? Like no country is threatened with annihilation more than Israel. Do you agree with that?
No.
Which country? You don't agree with that?
Yes.
Which country
I don't
gets
think
threatened with annihilation more than Israel?
America. America has more enemies around the world that wants to
No.
destroy it.
So right
The
now,
Chinese.
are there more people who want to? No, not. I'm not talking being enemies of America, trying to completely annihilate a country.
Yeah,
Which
China.
China wants? China doesn't want
China
to. China doesn't want to annihilate America.
China wants to create a civil war so it destroys the country so they can separate itself. Like right now, the Americans want to separate
China
themselves.
depends on America. China wants America to prosper. The more America's economy grows, China's economy. The economies are intertwined. China needs America's economy to grow.
Okay, I've seen videos that say it's the opposite. The Chinese want, because I watch a lot of the Chinese media, they say like they don't like the Americans and they want the Americans to collapse. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So there are some anti-American narratives that they push, but Chinese government, their economy depends on US's economy. So, and nowhere in China, like there are not that many people. There might be some anti-American sentiments in China, but not to the point that they want America to absolutely get annihilated, like not exist anymore, to completely get evaporated, like not like that.
I don't believe that Israel will. I don't believe that there's like people who want to destroy Israel. Like, well, except
there is.
I'm letting. No, sorry. Let me.
I
Finish.
grew up. I
There
grew up
are
in a
radical-
country that was constant. Like we were told since, like, from elementary school to guidance school and high school, throughout my entire childhood, we were told by the media, by our school, by the books that we were reading, by all our teachers that we will annihilate Israel one day in Iran.
But okay, okay. That's because I know that because I know that the Palestinians don't want. There's a lot of Palestinians who do not want the Israel state to destroy. Like Hamas may be the exception, but I know that a lot of Palestinians don't want that.
Yeah, and a lot of them want that. Maybe I don't know how a lot of them do want that.
Mm. Okay, maybe I'm wrong because I know that
No,
I
no,
know that a lot of
I'm not negating what you're saying. I'm sure there are a lot of them that don't want that, but there's also a lot of them that do want that. These two are not
But also-
contradictory.
Okay, but what if also there are like Ben Gvir and Smotrich who don't want a Palestinian state also? How do you deal with that too?
Fuck. Wait, okay, so for fuck Ben Gvir and Smotrich for other reasons, okay, but a Palestinians. I mean, I can see. I actually support the idea of not having a Palestinian state because I think it would be better for. That's not good for the Palestinians either.
I disagree.
The so-called. Okay, yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't. That's a different topic, and we could disagree. But I want the best. But our disagreement is over what policy would get the best for most people, best situation for the highest number of people. Okay, I'm not wishing. I'm not wishing the people in so-called Palestine to live under misery. Okay, so you might actually disagree with my solutions, but at the end of the day, I want the best for everybody. Okay, so I just want to focus on that right now because I don't want to change the topic over what is the best policy. I believe in a one-state solution. You might believe in a two-state solution, but at the end of the day, I want the best thing for the people on both sides. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand that but the problem with the one state solution is that you have two groups that don't like each other. So how are you going to force, like, for example, the Arabs are going to very prideful people, and the Hebrews are very prideful people. So you're going to force them to learn each
I
other.
had a solution that I had explained for 2 hours in a live stream, and that's why I don't want to go over it right now. I have my own solution that it takes multiple generations. It's not a quick fix, right? It's a phase-by-phase plan that I suggested to get into a one-state solution. So I'm not going to go over it, but let's just assume that my plan sucks. That's not the topic. Okay, you're asking me why I'm supporting Israel. Okay, let's just assume that my plan is not a good plan. Okay, and your plan is better. You know what? In fact, if your plan is a better plan, I hope your plan works. Okay, if the two-state solution is the best solution, I hope that one works. Okay, I'm not married to my plan. I'm married to. I want the plan that actually produces the best result. Okay. Right now, I don't think the two-state solution is the best solution, but I might be wrong. Okay, I'm willing to give up on my plan if it's not a good plan. Okay, but what's the problem supporting Israel given everything I told you?
Nothing. The only problem I have is if the Smotrich and Ben Gvir. That's it. I have no problem with. I don't have a problem with anything.
Okay.
Like, I just
So you
I
support
wanted your view.
you support so you acknowledge that supporting Israel does not require us agreeing with every single person in Israel.
Yes, but the
Okay.
problem I have with the people I've talked about, the far right, I have a problem with. That's the only problem, and
Yeah.
that's the issue.
Yeah, and every
I'm-
country has some of those people, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're from Iran, so Khomeini is
Yeah,
basically a
I
far
mean,
right.
yeah, exactly. Actually, that's a very good point. Do you think I'm anti-Iran?
No, but I don't. But I think you're not anti. Like, how? My question is, how are you going to deal with the Iranian government if they're no longer Muslim? Like, you need something to replace them. That's the problem.
Yeah, no. But let's focus on my point, okay? I obviously love Iran, okay?
Yes.
Nobody on the right mind will come tell me, Armin, how could you love Iran, given that Khamenei? We have such a thing in Iran called Khamenei, right? So people can see that I could still love my country, even though Khamenei is ruling over Iran. So
Yes.
given that, I mean, Khamenei, do you agree that Khamenei is worse than most of the, even worse than Smotrich and Ben Gvir? Do you agree with that?
No, I think they're both the same because they're both right-wing fundamentalist extremists. They have the same vision, and which is to build
No,
like
okay.
empires.
Okay,
Their goal is both
Khamenei
sides.
has ordered people to be executed in mass numbers and tortured them.
Yeah,
Okay, so Ben
yeah,
Gvir
but
and Smotrich have not done that. So again, I'm against
yeah,
Ben Gvir and Smotrich, but there's different levels. Okay, like
yeah,
obviously
but
they don't reach to Khamenei level.
I'm saying yet. Once I'm just saying
You
yet.
don't
Once
know
they
that. You
I
cannot judge
do
people
because
based on actions that they haven't done.
historically, far right people, no matter where they go from Christians, Jews, Muslims, secular. No, well, there are secular far right, but let's say authoritarian people generally are more likely going to kill people, no matter how long.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while. If Benjamin what is his name, the
No,
Prime Minister of Israel,
no.
overthrow the
Somebody could be far right, and they might never kill anybody, even if they're given the chance. They could have shitty ideas, but not kill anybody. You don't know that. You can't be sure. There
I dis-
are far right
I,
people that, given the opportunity, didn't kill anybody.
I disagree. My
Do
point.
you think
Look at
that's a
Trump.
rule? Do you think that's a rule? And also, why are you also only focusing on far right? You know, we have the same problem on the far left. You agree with that, right?
And the far left, I don't in the West, no, because they don't have political power. Most of the people in
Yeah,
the
but
far
okay,
left don't
but you're talking about given who has the potential to kill more people, the far right or the far left?
the far
Based on
right,
if you
not the far left.
the far left has historically killed more people than the far right. Do you agree with that?
No, I believe that the far right has because you view America as a
Do you consider Stalin and Mao to be far right or far left?
far left, but I don't. But you don't count
Okay,
America or the British. They're far right politicians who have killed more people the last 200 years
but
compared to
globally, has the far left killed more people or the far right?
the last century. The far left, I would say, but
Okay, so
historically, the far right.
this is not a mathematical formula that you could actually like solve for X, right? Like this is so multifactorial. So this is historical trends. You cannot just say that this happened here. So I'm gonna zoom in, like I'm gonna say that this first of all, and you're saying the United States. So why did we all of a sudden jump from Israel to United States? Like you're trying to apply. You're saying because in the United States the far right has done more harm, more political violence than the far left. Okay, and I need to see your numbers. Then all of a sudden in Israel, you're going to come up with the conclusion, even though you're going to ignore global trends, you're going to use some trends in the United States to make some judgments about Israel. Like this is all over the place, right? But how about we don't judge people based on the things that we think that they can do, and just judge them based on the things that they have already done? Wouldn't that be easier?
No, but if I understand, because I'm a history nerd. When I study history, I learned
But
that
you're
most
treating
historical.
you're treating history like math. History is not like math. It's multifactorial. You cannot come up with formulas and then use what happened in the past to calculate what will happen in the future. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't have
But historic.
hard set rules.
No, but history rhymes itself. So to the point that history
No,
continues.
no.
If you study human history,
Yeah, I have.
if you
And
study,
in history, so many times things happen that has never happened before. And new trends occur. And old trends stop. That also happens in history. Sometimes history doesn't rhyme. History sometimes rhymes, and a lot of times it doesn't. New things happen in history. In fact, the far right and far left are new concepts. I
no,
mean,
but I
the
would
whole
argue.
idea of these are all new concepts. Like, how could you use history to come up with what happens in the future? For 10,000 years of human civilization, we didn't even have such a thing as far right and far left, and we in the past 200 years we have. So you can see we all of a sudden we have completely new concepts. The idea of
No,
liberalism, nation states, these are all 200-year-old concepts. And then 10,000 years of human history, we hadn't had any of these. So none of this is rhyming. These are all new. So you can see in history, new things happen.
but historically, every nation state, no matter where it comes from, or sorry, every ethnic
Every
group has a
nation state, the idea of a nation state is only 200 years old. Like you're
no.
acting like you're saying every nation state as if this is like a trend throughout human civilization. We have 12,000 years of human civilization, and you're treating the 200 years of it as if now we have a law that we
No,
are forced to abide by for until the end of time.
no, you misunderstand my point. I'm saying every ethnicity has this idea of nationalism. You most likely, because your flag is an Iranian flag, you have an Iranian national identity, right? I would assume, correct? You want national. You're a national.
You said every ethnicity has a national identity, because that's wrong.
No, you
You
misunderstand because I
you
I
s-
said yes, I said, but like national
so
identity, like
did you
national.
just say every ethnicity has a national identity? Is that what you just said?
Yes, because every
That's
ethnic group
wrong.
wants.
That's wrong. And I could prove you that with my country, because the ethnicity of my country is Persian, Gilak, Turkmen, Baluchi, Bakhtiyari, Gilaki, Kurdish, Azeri, Lor, and many others, Arab, and many other. Okay, and we have so many different ethnicities, but we all have one national identity, which is Iranian. So no,
Yeah,
we don't have an ethnicity. We don't have a national identity based on ethnicity. We have a national identity based on a nation state, not based on our ethnicity.
you misunderstand what I mean. What I mean is that the idea of nationalism, no matter where you go, will eventually lead to authoritarianism. Doesn't matter what it is. And what I mean is like
The
far
idea
right.
of did you just say the idea? Okay, you need to go reread history. Did you just say the idea of nationalism would lead to authoritarianism?
Yes, a lot of nationalists
The idea of
eventually lead.
nationalism was invented to fight authoritarianism. You need to go
No,
restudy history, man.
I disagree. And my point is that the far right, no matter where you find them in any nation state or
You
any,
think nationalism is far right?
no, you misunderstand that nationalism is not far right. The nationalism that will eventually lead to far right people like Smotrich and Gavir, Khomeini, the Mohammed bin Salman, Trump. These people want to build far right empires. Every national identity wants to build huge empires and decide the rules of the
National.
game.
Okay, Khalid, you really need to go go reread your history, because the concept of a nation state was invented to fight empires. So you misunderstood all of these concepts, and I need to go, but I encourage you to go study the history of political science to understand that nationalism was an anti-imperial agenda. So you need to go reevaluate everything you read, okay? And we can
Okay.
talk about this later again, okay? Because I need to go.
See ya. Have a nice day.
All right, thank you. Okay, that was come back again. We could talk more, okay? All right, bye. All right, guys, I need to go. I have an appointment with a client that I need to see in about 20 minutes, so I need to go prepare for that. And guys, let me know if you want me to do more of these. Was this good? Did you guys like this? I could do more basically bringing people up and talking to them. If you like this, let me know so I could do more of this. And yeah, I'm Israel Chai. Oh, people are saying I'm Israel Chai, Javid Shah. Hazel is saying Armin, yes. Torah is saying this was ... This was what? Good, bad? Jack is saying I learned something new today. I haven't heard of Mutawatir before. Oh, okay, that's good. Good luck. Take care, Armin. Armin, it was great. Oh, thank you, Amir. That's sweet. Oh, you guys liked it. All right. Do more debates, Armin. Oh, okay, good. You guys enjoyed it. All right, guys. I appreciate most of you liked it. So I like that. I'm saying I actually learned stuff. Okay, guys. Let me know in the comments later if you guys want me to do more of this, and I will do more if you guys want that. Okay. So let me know say it with me in the chat. Okay. I'm Israel Chai, Javid Shah. Till next time, guys. Thank you.